Russ Clark with you. It's Thursday. That means Chris Larson's in here, Mortgage One.
Yeah, I'm
Dude,
back.
I see you took a little vacation, took
Yeah,
some time
yeah,
off.
yeah. The family, we went over to Colorado, uh, saw the Monument Valley, and what was the other? We did one of those. I don't know what it's called. It's like a summertime bobsled kind of thing, where you're on a little.
You go down a mountain or something? Or?
Yeah, yeah.
Without snow.
Yeah, yeah. And I was.
I've never done it. I want to do it.
Yeah, my daughter, there's two tracks. My daughter, hers took off real easy. Mine didn't, so she had a lead on me. So I was gaining on her.
It's not on wheels, is it?
No, no, it's just sliding down a fiberglass track.
Okay.
And I was gaining on her.
Yeah.
I want it known. I was gaining on her, but in one of the turns, I wiped out.
Oh, it sounds like you lost, is what it was when you.
But
you say you wanted to be known.
I was still sliding.
Are you embarrassed now?
No, no. I got some really nice injuries out of it.
Ah.
And I was sliding, and I just rolled my butt back onto the thing. And
I hear women like scars, so
that's the only reason I married.
That's how you hooked her, huh?
Yeah, we had a good time doing that,
Yeah.
and we went to, and then my wife and I we went up to visit my mom in Montana for the second week. And,
Okay.
So that was really cool. It's amazing up
And
there.
now you're back in the heat.
And now I'm back. Yeah. Well, and it's funny. Everyone was saying I was in the whole heat the whole time because it was like in the 90s
Okay.
up there. And like, oh, you went from the heat to the heat. I was like, yeah, this is really comfortable up here.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would think so.
Yeah, we were basking in it, and everyone's like, oh, it's so hot. And I was like, well, yeah,
That's
it's
all
amazing what
relative.
the body can adapt to.
It's supposed to be 116 today, tomorrow, Saturday up to 117. Then we get a whole break down to 108, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Down to 108. So it's that time of year.
It is.
It just
air
is.
conditioning, air conditioning, air conditioning.
I mean, it's like that before global warming. It's the same.
Yeah.
Same. It's hot.
It's hot.
Yeah, it is. Did you get to vote?
I did my primary early voting before
Okay.
we left.
You-
I promote the early voting all the time anyway. It's just so much more comfortable. You walk in, nobody else is
Oh,
there.
you went in
There's
and,
no
and did it in
line.
person. You didn't mail.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do too. That's what I do.
I love it.
I do too.
Yeah.
I don't really like the early voting, forms and I mean the stuff where you mail it in. The
No, I
mail-in.
don't do that.
No.
I'm not a big fan of that.
I
at all.
don't, but it's a high percentage that are. You and I are in the minority.
Well, it's a convenience. Everyone's into convenience these
Well,
days, but
I think it was pushed on people. Some states
Could
just
be.
made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to vote, that's the only way now.
well, yeah. There's the ones that are sending it out, whether you ask for it or not. At least in Arizona, you got to ask for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like it.
And I think most people say, well, why not? Just go ahead, put it on, check it. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
It's expensive. They got to mail
It
that
is.
stuff out. Man.
Yeah.
That's not
But
good. Most of it never gets returned.
Yeah.
In fact, we had less than 15,000 people vote out of 109,000 registered voters. So
Arizona-
assuming
Yuma
that
County.
in Yuma County,
Okay.
assuming that most of those 109,000 are getting the mail-ins, well over 50,000 went out. We didn't get that many back. So that's
Are
a
the
lot of
majority
postage.
Getting mail-in votes.
Yeah.
Ballots.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I don't request it. So
I don't know what I did with my numbers.
I only heard about the governor primary and the
You mean you got-
attorney general
Yeah,
primary. I haven't
and-
heard the results of the others, but
Doug won.
Doug Nichols.
Doug
Excellent.
Nichols, our
Okay,
mayor.
good.
Well, he was the only guy on the ballot. He was the only guy, only person.
uh-huh.
But there was a very, very, really well-financed campaign of a write-in with that Carlos guy.
Well, that wouldn't have
Carlos
been
Adams.
a part of the primary, though.
Yeah.
The write-in was for the primary.
Sure.
I thought the write-in was for general.
If you don't go through the primary, you don't go to the general.
I thought the write-ins did. Because was he Republican?
It's a nonpartisan. Doesn't matter.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if you don't go to the primary, you're not going to the general.
Okay.
Now, out of the primary, you know, since there's one mayor seat, there's one seat,
Right.
you take the top two. But here's the exception. If one person gets over 50%,
Right. Then they win. Right.
there is no general. It's
Right.
over.
Did he get over 50%?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There's only one on the ballot. And
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
And I was commenting to my wife and daughter. We were driving through town. We saw the write-in signs, and
everywhere. I mean,
everywhere.
he spent fortunes.
And I was telling my family, I was like, you know, yeah, on the bridge across the interstate on 16th Street, it was just plastered all the way, one after the other. I was
like 20, 30 signs.
yeah, somebody spent a buttload of money on that.
Yeah, they bought a bunch of signs, didn't know where to put them. So
Yeah. I was like, they're backing a losing game there. You know, write-ins almost never win.
I talked to him about that, and I told him early on. I said, you know, 'cause he was in my office, gosh, well before he put a bunch of money into it.
Uh-huh.
And I thought I'd get to give him 10 minutes, you know, and I'd blow him off or something. But I talked to him for over an hour, you know, maybe a couple hours even, because he's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what he wants to do for mayor. He doesn't really have a program. He just wanted to be mayor. But business guy, boxer, everything's overseas. He hasn't done anything in Yuma County. In fact, he wasn't even registered to vote.
Oh, really?
He registered to vote because he found out he had to be a registered voter to fill out a form to run for mayor.
Okay.
So, and his concept of what the mayor does, he had none, really.
And that's one of the big things that people just, you know, oh, I want to do that job. Well, what is the job?
Yeah, you know, they didn't know. And then he put out so much hate against Doug. I mean, I talked to the mayor about it. I said, look, why aren't you filing libel charge? You know, I mean, this thing's pretty, like, not only false and wrong, it's aggressively hateful. And he just thought that'd be a bad move, you know.
Yeah, why draw attention to it?
Well, yeah, he's right. And most of the time, you know, when you're a political leader, you know, there's an image that you could say and do anything, but that's not necessarily true. Right. Ask Trump; he sued how many people for libel?
Right.
You know, when it's malicious in intent and all that stuff. So, but no, Doug wasn't going to do that. He's a better man than me. You know, but he won it, and I was a little worried about it because man, that guy's put so much money into it. And on game day, you know, voting day, I went to the Civic Center. I'd already voted, but I had to go out there. Helen was a poll watcher.
Okay.
And I had to take her car. Her truck broke down, battery went bad. I took her car, took her keys to her, and he had like 2 or 3 guys outside, and they were very good, very aggressive, very up talking to you. I nothing wrong with that. That's all good.
Right.
They weren't just passively sitting there.
Right.
And I'm assuming he had it all of me. I mean, he had some cash.
Somebody was backing him. Yeah.
I think it was.
Or he was paying.
He has his own business. He has a textile industry.
Uh-huh.
In fact, when he came in to see me, he brought me a present. He brought me a pair of socks that he made, you know, in his textile industry.
Oh, really?
I said, "Did you make socks?"
A good pair of socks is not to be underrated.
I don't even know where I put them. I don't even know where they are. I think it might be in my car. I'm not sure. I don't even know where I put them. But and then he opened up a store in Yuma.
Okay.
Because he got people were commenting, you don't have any roots here at all. So he opened up a store selling boxing paraphernalia.
Okay.
He has boxers that he promotes and works for him, like 40 of them or something.
Wow.
And he walks around with a bodyguard. He goes everywhere with a bodyguard.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a bodyguard. I felt less of a man. You know?
Nobody wants to beat me up.
Yeah, why am I not controversial enough to be a bodyguard? I'm wondering, what have you done to you need a bodyguard? But
right. Well, just being successful sometimes is enough to draw.
Well, you know, and there's some and he's obviously does his work down in Mexico.
Right.
Success down there is going to get attention.
Yeah.
Probably the wrong attention. So I guess he brings
just
that with him.
Being in Mexico can bring attention to you. So.
But I tell you, he's a hard charger. I definitely want to sit down and talk to him again, see what his future is. But he's got a lot to, and people were mad at me because while I'm talking to him, I was giving him pointers on some public speaking stuff
Right.
and some pointers on how to present himself and stuff. And he contacted me later. And he says that really helped me.
Good.
And well, except the people that were like not wanting him to have a chance. Say, what are you
Well, you
doing,
helped
Russ?
them, yeah.
Well, I'm going to help people.
Yeah.
I guess.
I do that all the time. You know, if I, because I used to be a waiter. If I see a new waiter, and they're doing this, that, and the other, I'm like, you could improve by doing this. You know, I always point out what they're doing well, and it's always if you're an energetic, personable waiter, build on that. That's where you
Yeah.
start. That's what really gets people's attention, makes them feel happy.
That's a
and
good
comfortable.
profession if you do it well.
Yeah. But
Really
then
is.
there's other things that you can do to improve your professionalism and your work. But I do it all the time. If I see a way that somebody could be improved in
Mhm.
what they do,
Right.
I want to help them out. I want to give them, if they,
Well.
oh, that, dumb old man, he just, no, no,
My-
unsolicited advice or whatever. I ask them, would you like a couple pointers? I've done this.
You got to be
before.
careful with that. I mean, if people don't want help.
Well, if they don't
you know,
want it, they
yeah,
don't
you
want
know,
it. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
bail
you
on
can't.
your own. But
But my business partner was listening in some of my conversations. So he kind of berated me afterwards a little bit. Hey, what are you doing helping that guy, man? Thought you were Doug's friend.
well,
I am.
Doug,
I like Doug.
wants a win,
I
an
worked-
honest win.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to beat.
He
somebody
worked
just
hard
because
too,
they-
even though he was the only guy on the ballot.
Right.
And I told Doug, I said, man, this guy's pouring money in like I can't believe. I mean, he's with flyers and everything else, knocking on doors. And I thought it was, folly. I mean, like you're putting so much into something that has little to no chance. But he felt like he did. He felt like he was going to win.
Did he get numbers at?
Got less than 10% of what Doug did.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
For a write-in, that's not.
oh
that's-
no, it's a
that's not too
success
bad,
for a
yeah.
write-in. It's a success.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, he's not going to call himself mayor.
But what would be interesting to see is after this experience, he gets more involved in the politics of the city.
I don't.
Learns the position, figures out some of the positions that
Maybe.
that would be good to do.
I don't
and
know
then
if it's
makes
good for
Don-
us. I mean, to
Right,
me, he
yeah.
feels like a con guy, like a Modami or something. Because I really
You think
don't
so?
know where he stands for
Yeah.
politically. I don't know
Well,
what
he
he's.
might not know.
I don't
himself.
think he does. Well, why would you put the guy in that job unless he has like a direction and a passion?
Right.
His direction and passion is be mayor from all I can ascertain. I could be wrong, but I haven't heard any other explanation. All of his stuff that I saw on Facebook and everything was just Doug bad, Doug bad, Doug bad, Doug bad. Vote for me.
Well, sounds Democrat, but
Yeah, well, he does. I didn't ask him about party affiliation. I didn't, and should have. I've been told, that he's Democrat. I guess I could check it. You could check the voters' rolls. I never bothered. I don't know. I don't know what he is. It doesn't matter if he's.
if he comes back with next election with some reasonable ideas,
He
and
may.
learns the position and gets his signatures in time, so he's not a write-in.
He
It'd be worth talking about then.
he's got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
In fact, his debate with Doug, he did terrible. I mean, I did not train him. I gave him a couple pointers on speaking, not on debate skills or anything. But he did not do well on any of that stuff. I mean, he'd have a lot. See, and it's not that he's not confident. It's not that he's not strong. He's not smart. He's smart. He's smart. He's confident. He's got all those things. He wouldn't come in here with me either. I said, "Hey, come on in here." And I would not have tried to trip him up. I mean, I would have wanted to learn more about him.
Right.
He said, "I don't think that's a good idea."
Might not have been.
I don't know. And then on his Facebook and everything,
Uh,
somebody would write a comment like, "Who the heck are you? Why are you doing this?" And he'd delete it. He deleted bad comments and all that stuff.
yeah.
That usually doesn't work out.
Right.
Doesn't work out.
So you want to talk about?
I want to talk about this burglar. I talked about the other day. I mean, didn't know the guy's name. Now we do. His name's Charles Brownlee. Don't know him. He's a 32-year-old. 8 felony charges. He got away with $350,000 worth of stuff.
Allegedly.
Oh, let me not highlight that. It always says allegedly. I guess that's what the business is. It's a business, mostly commercial buildings, some commercial buildings. Lori Franklin, the sergeant there over at
What was he
YPD.
getting that added up so high?
What did he? I don't know. She said, pretty good deal for our officers and our detectives, and glad we got him off the streets. Yeah, so's all the businesses. Most burglars all happen around at around Avenue 3E and 30th Street.
Okay.
So Lori says we do notice an uptick in burglaries and stuff in the summer times because a lot of residents can be vacant because of winter visitors or
Right.
people going on vacation. Be alert if you have somebody who's an unseasonal person in a house vacant for a while and your neighbors are going on vacation. Just be more watchful of it.
But this guy was doing businesses, not empty.
That's what it says. It says
residence.
commercial.
Huh.
Commercial properties. I'm wondering, what did he steal, man?
Right.
$350,000 is, a lot of cheap silverware if you're just going into houses. He's going to see Greg Stewart. I like Judge Greg Stewart. I don't think Brown Lee's going to like him, but
Yeah.
he did lower his bond from 235 cash to 200 in cash.
Oh, well, that's.
Now, if he's a professional burglar, probably doesn't have that kind of cash laying around.
I doubt it.
I don't think that's somebody that saves.
Yeah.
8 felony charges.
Hmm.
I'd be curious what he really took.
I'm wondering what kind of evidence they have.
Well, they got some cocaine and methamphetamines and stolen merchandise,
That'll do it.
and they got a search warrant to his house, so they knew who he
They
was.
knew he was ahead of time. They didn't
But,
catch him in
but
the
all
act.
these commercial buildings, I would think, have cameras
Cameras
and
and
all that.
Yeah.
I mean, enough to where you could pick up license plate numbers if you drove. It's not a smart thing to do.
Yeah, even if the place that you're robbing doesn't have cameras, there's so many other cameras along the way to
Yeah.
and from.
I mean,
Just all these ring cameras and stuff, and
and the downside is much worse than the possibility of even a little bit of an upside.
right. Unless you're getting like those heist movies and
Not, like Ocean's
Yeah.
11 or something.
yeah,
I'm going to rip off a casino for 20 million.
right. They're the cops.
That's
who risk
fantasy,
it.
buddy. That doesn't work either. I think the downside there is bad too. You find yourself buried in a hole out in the desert. I mean, who has more security than a casino?
Exactly.
That's why it makes a good movie, because it's
It's-
like impossible.
Right.
Might as well be a Superman movie. I say impossible. Now someone sent me a list of casinos that got ripped off. That's probably true. Hey, Secret Service agent on J.D. Vance's security detail.
Okay.
He's under review right now because he was leaking information to news agencies about Vance's travels.
When you did the headline, I was wondering if it was going to be one of those betting things where
Oh, those?
Yeah.
I like those.
but it is information related. He is.
Yeah. But he's giving information out to news sources about traveling and some of the stuff about and how do you expect
Isn't
I mean,
that-
that's as bad as this burglar. How are you not going to get caught?
Right.
I mean, how many people do you have as a security detail? And they're all professional security guys and all that. They've been through training with FBI, CIA, who knows?
And they
become Secret
investigate
Service.
things for a living.
Yeah, they do it for a living, and there's going to be one of 20 guys that he's in contact with, and those 20 guys in a room are going to find the guy.
Well,
What the heck?
Isn't the vice president's movement's public
No,
information anyway?
No, not beforehand. You don't
Oh.
say, "Oh, it's 7 o'clock. That plane's going to take off right over here, and we're going to go over there."
Oh, that's
yeah,
specific.
yeah,
Because
you know,
they
you
know
don't
what
care.
events he's going to.
Yeah, sometimes, but beforehand, they don't tell about travel plans.
Mm.
There's too much chance of if somebody
So is
has
he
bad
getting-
things and
Right.
in mind for you.
Was he getting paid for that?
Was he getting paid? I don't know. It doesn't say. I doubt.
wonder
I
what
don't
his
know. Maybe he was just
motivation
looking for some fame or something. Maybe he didn't like Vance.
Well, I don't know how you could not like Vance.
Well,
That just doesn't make
he's
sense.
a good guy.
I like Vance.
I like some of the memes where he shows him as a fat guy.
I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, shows as a fat redneck. He laughs about it.
Well, if it's
It's a
funny.
good sense of humor. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's funny, laugh.
Yeah. It's unclear if any possible administrative punishment or criminal charges could be forthcoming.
I would hope
Maybe
so.
maybe not, but there's probably a good chance he's not going to be anybody's security detail ever again
I would guess.
in this agency or any other.
Right.
I mean, if you get hung with that and you're a professional secret guy, but I leak a lot.
It's in the name.
Yeah,
It's
that's right
Secret
there.
Service.
Wow. Yeah, Edward sent this to me. Um, I don't think Edward's going to hire the guy.
I wouldn't.
No, no. Uh, but he described Vance's planned travel, including flying with his son on Marine Corps helicopter to a golf lesson that was later aborted.
Oh that wouldn't have been public knowledge, no.
Probably not.
No.
Yeah, I got a golf lesson with my son.
Huh.
We're going to take Marine One. Um,
Well, it's only Marine One when the president's on
that's right. Marine Two. Which, being the president, vice president, all that security and all that stuff, it's hard to move around.
it. Yeah.
So
And-
whether they take a car or a plane or anything, I'm sure that's up to the Secret Service. They'll
Yeah.
recommend.
But that makes the betrayal even worse. The vice president's private time
Yeah.
is so limited, and it's going to be so precious, especially if you're going to go out doing something with your son, and somebody's announcing that, and informing people about that, so that they can show up and take, that's just not cool.
No.
It's not only a security risk, but it's also just personally a betrayal to the vice president.
Yeah.
This.
Somebody needs to retrain. And see,
Somebody needs to.
and I'm sure the rest of the Secret Service agents all over the country are going to be like, oh, no.
Right.
Now we're going to get some retraining. Everybody's got to go through,
Right.
going through like what's expected of you now.
Right.
Like you don't talk to the news.
And it's
What a
just so
shame.
obvious. Don't do that.
I would think so. It says the story caught the attention of Secret Service, FBI, White House officials who fumed over operational
Yeah.
details being described in the press. You think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I've been, anyone who's ever been part of an organization like that, it's a bit of a brotherhood. And when somebody does something like that, it just brings down the whole organization.
Yeah.
And nobody likes that.
You would think so.
They have a pride in what they're doing, and this guy just ruined everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
whether they fire him or not, I would think
Doesn't
he'd
matter.
want to quit at this point because nothing's going to be good for him
but what if he says he's sorry?
the rest of his career. He's sorry over there. I don't care.
I promise you, it'll never happen again.
Yeah, not here because you're fired.
My guess is he doesn't like Vance. I don't think you do that to somebody you admire, like, or support.
Right.
I don't think so. But
Well, at least he was releasing it to the press and not to nefarious agents for
as far as we
enemies.
know,
Right. Yeah.
well, but if he's doing this, which is what a great chance of getting caught when you're doing details that nobody else knows, and it's in the news, and the White House gets to read it in the news. You're like, well, wait a minute. I mean, that's just stupid.
Right.
How could you not get caught? Somebody's going to say this shouldn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk to Gilbert this morning. Good morning, Gilbert.
Gilbert.
Hey, your volume is very, very low on your radio, on
All
your
of us.
podcast.
Woo. That's what-
All of you.
We're going
Very, I can barely hear you, and I have my volume up, and I check my settings,
yeah.
and when you're not on Facebook, also.
Yeah, I am. It's hard to get. I've got to do something with that. I got to talk to Facebook, but
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
pay.
because,
I don't pay. And I think I turned it down because Chris's ears were
Yeah.
bleeding when I first started, and I turned down the wrong one. I think that
Yeah,
should
she
fix it,
did.
though. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm going. What's wrong with my phone?
It was operator error, and I'm the only operator. So
Well, you know what they say. You got to do what you got to do to keep your people engaged.
well,
That's
I need your help,
That's the
though.
word you like to. That's the word you like to use. Engage. I'm engaged. We're
Yeah.
engaged. So everything's doing good. The elections are what I expected in some and disappointed in others. But you know what? We're going to get along. Get along.
What were you disappointed with? Which one?
You know what? I can't even remember right now.
I was
got so
disappointed
much stuff
with
going on.
Malba because she lost, but
Oh, did she?
well, yeah, but that's okay. I mean, but she was up against
Yeah,
Daly, who's also wonderful. So
All right.
you
yeah,
have two people you support. One of them's going
right.
to disappoint,
All
right?
right.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many people voted for Miss Day because she is Yuma. She lives in Yuma
Yeah.
and brought up in Yuma, and Melba is South County.
Right.
And I wonder how that came into effect.
Well, plus she's connected to some very successful farming families, and she's worked in the job for a while, so she's got a lot of
Yeah.
visibility.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
Malba had
Oh
a lot
yeah.
of visibility too, working with the Trump thing. But
Yeah.
both wonderful. I
Yeah.
support
Yeah.
Malba completely. Also,
Yeah. We couldn't go wrong with either one.
yeah. So
You
that
know.
one disappointed me. I was like, ah. But I would have been disappointed
Yeah.
no matter who lost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That,
Right.
when you put it that way,
Right.
they're both good. They're both good. They're
Hmm.
well respected. Both of them are well respected.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So it's one of those things. I'm glad some of the stuff went the way it went. Like I told you yesterday, there was enough backstabbing, caca throwing,
Too
and
much, but yeah.
yeah, people were throwing spaghetti on the wall, see which one was going to stick and which one was going to roll down.
Yeah. Somebody that was really, attacked a lot was Biggs. Biggs was attacked by all the
Yeah.
opponents. In fact, the other three opponents only attacked Biggs, not each other. Just which kind of leads you to believe, like, wow, he must be the front runner.
Exactly.
But at his very first thing is we need to work together. We need to move forward and all that stuff. I mean, he was about unity afterwards.
One thing after this, you got to realize this: well, the three of them were attacking Biggs. Who brought that out? Who told everybody attack Biggs because he's the one's going to win, so we need to attack him so he won't win? And I'm a conspiracist type of dude.
Uh-huh.
Remember Daniel McCarthy?
I know the name.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. His whole group were really terrible. I've seen him in action. I've seen him in action a couple of times. When not Christy Lake, Miss Lake,
Uh-huh.
she was running. We were in Phoenix. Carl and I were in Phoenix at some sort of rally. I can't remember what it was. And her team were vicious. They were attacking this young man that was walking across the campus type thing. And I go, who the hell are these guys? So I followed them to the camp, and it was Danny McCarthy's group. So I see a lot of his stuff in action. And I'm wondering, are all these guys connected to him? Because the way they attacked Biggs, it sure had a sure sign of.
I don't know. I think the attorney general race too was too much attacking.
Yep.
Uh,
Way too much. Way too much.
yeah, and
And
I wasn't unhappy. I mean, I like Warren, and I'm glad he won it. Actually, he's because he's got so much support, much more than Ronnie Glassman, and Glassman's a good guy. I like him, but he's never won anything. He's run for everything and never won anything.
Right.
And
it reminds me of somebody else. Too much noise. That reminds me of somebody else that used to run, and he ran for a lot of things and never won. I can't think of his name. Oh, it starts with a B.
I don't know who you mean, but
Yeah.
we have a judge here. Was it Judge John Plant? He never won.
Oh,
But for like 3 years or so, I mean 3 terms, he never won. But he kept getting appointed to judge. He appointed. He knocked on every door in Yuma until he did win. I mean, every door, probably.
That's funny.
yeah, in July.
Oh, he never quit.
remember-
He never quit. He just kept
He never
going.
quit at all. He just kept on going. But anyway, I thought I'd just call you and let you know about your volume because nobody's going to be able to hear you.
I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Bye bye. There's Mr. Gilbert. Talk about vibe. Now you did all this this driving and everything. The gas prices were higher.
Yeah, but I was thinking about that during the trip. It's been like that before. I don't remember what it was, but a few years ago the prices went up like that. And
Well, under Biden it did, yes.
And I was pulling a camper trailer that year, and that really hit us hard. I was getting like 8 miles to the gallons when I was really conservative with the way I was driving. But yeah, I was looking. I was like, this. We've been here before, And there was no good reason for us to be
We
there
have.
before. At least now we have, we're trying to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon. So I was like, I'm okay with it. We can move on. And we income has risen since then, so we actually were better off than we were back then. So
I'm looking at oil price right now. The Brent oil price, one I normally follow, 86.83. So it's up about 11% over last month because of the recent
right.
stuff going on, the recent things. But then I read this article from NBC. It says oil surges to 100 per barrel. Which, why are they picking 100 per
That's-
barrel? I don't even see that on my list as being surging that high.
What's
But
that say it is?
I guess that's wishful thinking. We hate Trump.
Mm.
Let's say it's 100 a barrel. Well, there was some up 95, I guess, at one time, but it's not now. Well, this says open
pretty close.
99.
99.
Maybe I'm looking at an old one.
I don't know.
Maybe it is 100. On this one, it is. The one I was just looking at earlier showed a different one. Maybe it's an old chart. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one chart that says Brent's at 86.83 from Google Finance, and then another one that says it's 100.
Well, I don't,
We'll have to find out.
there's not like a single storage where they get their barrels.
But
full.
but no, that should be consistent everywhere. I mean, that's
I don't know. When you get into that level of finance, there's so many. It's just like when somebody says, "Oh, that person's worth 3.2 billion."
oh, that's
Well,
different.
You know.
But this is oil that's being on
Okay,
the
most of that's on
commodities.
paper,
It's
so.
being bought. Well, this one I've got a couple of them now that say $99, $99.35, so $100
So it sounds
for Brent. So it's true.
about right.
Yeah. So it is. And what Iran did is, they're threatening everything in the Strait of Hormuz, which is normal. But they thought that wasn't good enough. It wasn't bringing the price up enough. So they had the Houthis do the same thing in the Red Sea to stop Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I heard that on the news. I was like, well, the Red Sea has nothing to do with the Strait of Hormuz.
Well,
but
no.
they said Iran was doing it directly, so it was the Houthis doing it.
It's the proxies.
I see.
Iran's proxies.
Right.
So, and it's not that they are sinking all these ships. Some have been hit, and a lot are getting through. Those threats alone, and one or two getting hit will throw the insurance companies up to.
Stay put.
Well, you can do it, but it'll cost you more than what it's worth
Right.
because the insurance on it, trip insurance, is going to be too high.
Yeah.
So they just have to do enough to cause the insurance companies to get skittish, which I don't blame them.
Right. Well, it's a tactic.
They would have to
and
absorb
it
the
works.
loss.
Right.
They say it's just not worth it for us. We're going to be around next month.
Yeah. Well,
We can wait.
Yeah, they're just waiting out the whole thing there, but just yesterday, day before, something like that, we're at Ford getting our vehicle worked on,
Okay.
and they had the news on, and I think it was broadcasting the House floor. And some Democrat out of New York was I guess they're going to do a vote on whether or not to let the president continue the war or something. And he was just not understanding the situation at all. We got a call coming.
I should turn that phone off. Hey, Mike, what are you up to?
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
So I was having the same trouble. I kept raising my volume and I couldn't hear nothing till he called in, and then I saw you. It all of a sudden went.
Well, yeah, well, that's because of Gilbert's. Gilbert's fault. He's the one that alerted me. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Glad it got figured out because I didn't want all of a sudden blasting as I'm trying to quietly walk through the room and
Yeah.
everybody else is sleeping.
We try not
So,
to hurt
but-
you.
The other thing, he seems to always have trouble finding you on Facebook, and I don't understand that because I have two phones, as you know, for all the different apps that I run. It just makes it easier. And on one of them, you accepted my friend request years ago.
Yeah.
On the other phone, you still have not accepted me as a friend, which I don't really care. But
Wow.
both of the phones, I just go to the search, magnifying glass looking thing, and because I've done it so often, you're right up at the top of the list, Russ Clark. I press on that, and then it opens up a page, and it shows your profile pic or whatever. And if it's red around it, I press on that, and boom, there you are, blabbering. And
Blabbering.
if it's not red, you click on it, and it just expands to the picture. But
Yeah.
you're there. I don't understand how he has any
Yeah.
trouble
I-
finding you on Facebook.
I've never been able to get hit the live Facebook.
You can't get it?
I can get the archived ones to run, but on Facebook,
I'll show you.
I
Well, you know what?
never-
I need to talk to Facebook. Facebook wants you to pay to put you in a favored spot. I just have never done it.
Oh, well.
I should.
Well, if people
So they're-
know you're there and they search for you directly, they're
Yeah.
going to find you.
But even
Th-
searching
those of
directly
us
is
that-
hard sometimes. And I've had a hard time myself.
All I know is that those of us that listen to you regularly and have done so for years have absolutely no trouble finding you. Sometimes we have trouble hearing, but we have no trouble finding you, buddy.
It's operational error. I know.
Operator error, like I said, the problem
I know.
exists between the keyboard and the chair.
That does.
All right.
Thank you,
well,
man.
I'll go back.
Take care, Mad
See
Mike.
what else you stir up.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, go sell a car or something.
Yeah, right. Do a
I need to take another look at that. I never thought about the bit about he asked me for a friend, and I don't work with the Facebook that much, so I don't look at that list. I probably have people out there like that would help.
well. They're all thinking, man.
See,
Russ is ignoring me.
I true, and you know what? I've gone back and looked at my messages. I got like 6 of them that says volume's too low.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're out there looking up for you, but
Well, good. Or they're finding fault with me, maybe. I don't know.
yeah, so, probably your worst enemy's right. I can't hear him to be mad at him.
That's right too.
But this guy in the house, he was saying that that we had an agreement with Iran back with by Obama, and Trump tore it up,
Right.
and he was saying we
That
were
is true.
keeping them within a year of having a nuclear weapon, and they couldn't progress because we were watching them. And then he said diplomacy was working. No, that's not diplomacy. Diplomacy working means they agreed, we shouldn't have a nuclear weapon, and they backed off entirely. If they were working on it but not progressing because you're watching, that's force.
Right.
That's not diplomacy. He didn't understand the situation at all. But then we weren't using force. We weren't monitoring and inspecting. We were letting them block our inspectors and stuff. So that's why Trump tore up the agreement. It wasn't working.
Well, no, and it was done in 2015. It was called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action,
Right.
and they weren't I mean, they didn't pay attention to it. It wasn't working.
Right.
It was after 18 months of negotiations.
Right.
So he just gave in.
Well,
You
and
know.
then so basically he was complaining, saying Trump recreated the problem by tearing up the
No,
JPOA.
that's what they
Hang on.
say.
That's what
they
he's saying.
say.
But let's take that through to the next logical step.
Okay.
You're saying he recreated the problem. Well, now he's trying to fix the problem, and you're going to tell him, no, don't fix the problem that you created. If you think he created the problem, then it makes sense that you would let him fix the problem. But now you're going to say, no, I'm not going to let you fix the problem. And then we're in it already.
Yeah. Well,
It's one thing to say, don't start something, but it started. We're in it. Now we got to finish. We can't just, all right, well, we're going to turn our ships around and go home. We got to take it to a conclusion.
under
We
the
gotta-
agreement with Obama, they were allowed to
Just-
have the uranium and all that, but it had to be inspected with a 24/7 monitoring from International Atomic Energy.
Right.
Well, they not only didn't allow those guys in when they wanted to, they started putting centrifuges and stuff in places that was secret,
Exactly.
which was
yeah.
totally against everything.
If they're staying a year away from having a nuclear weapon within your cameras,
Yeah.
you know they're doing something where you're
Right.
not looking. Yeah, exactly. That was the thought I had too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just failed. It kind of slowed it down a little bit, but it failed completely.
Right.
It was not a good deal.
It wasn't, and it just demonstrated this guy had no. He didn't even understand the logic of what he was saying.
And the the deal with Trump is he canceled the agreement at the same time put sanctions on him to slow him down. You know,
Right.
Which I guess was his best effort at that point until right now the effort's increased. Black Cloud, I haven't heard from him in a while, but he asked me, how does a veteran get a free ride to a doctor's appointment in Yuma? I don't know. I'm sure
There's places to
I'm
call.
sure there are, but
yeah.
I don't know who they are. So
I would start with the VA. Hey, do you know anyone that?
well, if somebody's listening, they know exactly. Let me know
Yeah.
if you got a phone number or something.
I've talked to people. I don't remember who they were, but I was like, that's a great deal. It wasn't. He was sitting right there. I'm thinking of the
Derek
dude,
Agabert?
No, the dude that was the YCAT. He was in charge of the transportation in Yuma.
Okay, I don't know
I think he said something like that.
that's available.
Yeah.
The guy from
But
YCAT. There might be.
I know there's people out there. There's organizations that help you. You could try with the DAV. Contact the DAV, and they would absolutely know who to call.
I could always ask AI.
Oh yeah.
AI's smarter than me. And if it's on AI, it's got to be true.
Yeah.
It's not.
What was that?
And that's not always the case either. I started talking about gas prices or oil prices, which is
Right.
it affects our gas price. Our average gas price in the state of Arizona now is $4.05, and I think it's pretty close to what Yuma is right now. $4.05, we're about that. California is $5.54, and both of them are up from last week.
Right.
And apparently, there's a lot of gas tourism. California drivers coming over to Arizona to fill
To
up.
get gas. Yeah.
I guess that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to come from San Diego.
They're coming over to get gas and leave their poop and then going home
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because everything's
Drop
so
off-
expensive. Over
Drop off the trash and pick up some gas and go back home. Go back to California.
Yeah, I saw a map of the U.S. with different colors from red to blue for gas prices, and they had it flipped. They had red for the high gas prices and blue for the low gas prices. And we know that that's not right. But the whole coast, the whole West Coast, was a color of red, and almost everybody else was blue. They're just so high that they're pulling the average up by themselves. And California was this blood dark red. It's just insane.
Well, I asked AI about the transportation. They gave me a long thing.
Yeah, just answer the question, AI.
Yes,
get the point.
Disabled American Veterans Van Services, free rides. DAV provides free van transportation to and from VA Southern Arizona healthcare facilities, including Yuma VA Clinic, trips to Tucson for veterans who lack other options.
Good.
Eligibility, typically for ambulatory veterans able to board, exit without driver assistance. Not for emergencies.
Well, no.
That's a 911.
Yeah, if it's an emergency, call 911.
Guidelines, follow the rules, wear seatbelts, no smoking, alcohol, weapons. DAV vans are volunteer operated and may not cover every trip. But the phone number, 928-783-6661.
Well, AI was quite helpful there.
If it's all current and accurate, and it probably is. But,
Yeah. Because AI just searches what's on the internet, and unless somebody's actively putting false information about how veterans can get free rides, it's really good.
Well, and sometimes I found on AI that I get something that's old, outdated.
Yeah, that happens.
Outdated.
Yeah, before we went on our trip, we have one of those robotic vacuum cleaners, right? That just
Roomba?
Yeah. We have a different
Roomba.
one, but yeah.
Roomba.
But I was like, how do I turn this off so it's not running around while we're not home? And so I couldn't figure it out. So I Googled, I did the AI, how do you do this? And it gave me information, and none of which worked. It didn't have the buttons that it was talking about. It didn't have the things on the app that it was talking about. And so I told AI, everything you just told me is wrong. None of it applies. It didn't have the buttons you're talking about, things like that. And it responded with, "You're right. Everything I just told you is wrong."
It did. It told you.
It did that, and then it gave me the correct information. I was like, "Well, just give me the correct information to begin."
And I have Dean in here quite a bit, and Dean has explored AI a lot more than I have, and he gets similar stories to you, like where wait a minute, this isn't right, and it'll go back and correct itself.
Yeah. Well, it is. The idea is it's learning. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing it did what you just said. It found some old stuff, put it up there, and then when I said that's wrong, that does
Well,
it researched.
I just sent Black Cloud the information I got off AI.
Mm-hmm.
He said DAV Chapter 11 shut down last fall. No one will answer
no.
that number.
Ah, that was
Wow.
old information.
Wow.
Well, then try a different vet group then.
Well, I gave him another one. Contact the Yuma VA clinic.
Yeah.
Then gave him the main phone
They
number,
might know
928-317-9973, or the VA Health Connect, 877-252-4866, or Patient Travel Services for details on qualifying filing.
There's also the VFW.
Yeah, I don't know how active they are at that kind of service. I
if
don't know them
they
well.
don't do it, they'll know somebody that does.
There's another one,
veterans
Veteran
talk to each other.
Transportation Services.
Okay.
Contact Patient Travel in Southern Arizona. There's another number. I'll send all of them to him, and maybe one of them's good.
Yeah.
Again, AI's got old information too. How about that?
Yeah. That's a shame that DAV went bankrupt like that.
It was a volunteer thing too.
Yeah.
Volunteer.
Yeah. And I don't know if DAV itself went bankrupt or if it was just that program.
I have no knowledge. Local church in Yuma. I just read this little article here that the First United Methodist Church.
Okay.
And this is one located at 298 West 3rd Street, so downtown.
Right. Yeah, I know where it's at.
Okay. Older church, I imagine. That they're going to be holding a community meal dinner this Sunday. It'll be held on the last Sunday of each month at the following times: October through March, 5 p.m. to 6:30, and April through September, 6 p.m. to 7:30. It's a free dinner. Anyone is welcome with lots to eat, drink to beat the summer heat. You don't need to sign up, pre-register. The message is simple. Come and eat.
There you go.
We want to provide a healthy meal in a safe place because that's something a lot of folks enjoy. We like to do it. We like to do a good job of it. So
Good.
that's a Methodist church downtown. Get out of the heat.
And it's not an old church. It's
Is it?
no, it's a big. It could almost.
I know I've probably driven by it, but I'm not picturing exactly what it is. But 298 West 3rd Street. We should go eat.
Well, and that's the kind of thing. That, I really applaud for the evangelism of an organization.
Sure.
Just doing things for people,
Helping
them out.
Yeah.
Putting together a community opportunity, and if they stick around, great. Then that's the ones that God wanted you to call in. If they don't, then you at least made them happy. So.
Yeah, you help them out, no strings attached.
Yeah,
and that's it. Church for the City just went through Service Day, and it was a big project, well organized by the church. I didn't have the opportunity to join, but they did things like they had a group of people going into laundromats and just paying for people's laundry. That's it. Just going in. They had to go into certain grocery stores and just picking up the bill. Gas stations going in and picking up the bill.
Well, I'm picturing somebody at the laundromat. Well, what am I going to do with all these quarters now? I've been collecting quarters for a week.
Help somebody else, man. That's all it is. Oh, but they visited retirement facilities. They went to the food bank, helped out with some lawn projects, handyman projects, and a lot of stuff. Yeah. I mean, it was they put hundreds of people out there for the day, all over the place.
Yeah, and it's not hard to come up with ideas for that kind of thing. It's in the Bible.
Yeah, it is.
Feed the hungry, clothe the naked. You know, visit the ones in prison and the hospital and sick, and just be there.
Exactly right.
See a need, fill a need, kind of thing.
Do you know who Judge Boasberg is?
Never heard of him.
He's the one that he's a go-to guy because he hates Trump, and he's a guy that has been overturned, constantly, and he's got a real bias that I just hate Trump. He's the one that when Trump was sending a plane down to El Salvador to go to that prison,
Okay, yeah,
turn that plane around.
all right.
Kind of oversteps his bounds. He's noted for using unlimited power that he doesn't even have.
Right.
And he's been pushed back by the appellate courts and all that. Just you can't do that stuff. And he's the one that claims that President Trump is exceeding his authority. Well, so Boasberg exceeds his authority to go after him. And so Jonathan Turley writes about it, and I like Jonathan Turley. He does a great job. But it's deeper than that, and it claims that Boasberg's frustrated over the stuff that he can't get done what he wants to get done, but it's beyond his authority, but he keeps trying it. But every time he gets pushed back by the appellate court and other things, other courts above him, and they order him to reconsider, to redo, he just defies it and has to keep getting told. And this is the second time he's done something like this one. He says he barred a pro-life group from access to a jury after members were arrested for writing in chalk, "Black preborn lives matter." Okay, they wrote that in chalk. And
call it vandalism. Did somebody call it vandalism or?
Well, yeah, you're not allowed to. Can't do that.
It's
And so
chalk.
Boasberg refused access to a jury. Wouldn't hear the case. As far as the group was suing, like, we shouldn't be fined. It's not fair, because Black Lives Matter has run amok everywhere and writing Black Lives Matter everywhere.
Right.
And you do it because we're just pro-life.
Right. Exactly.
Is it? Well, he tried to explain it, Boasberg, that there was no evidence or whatever. That the police saw them or knew it was them or something. I don't know exactly, but the cop was there, said, "No, we saw it. We were there. We have pictures and all that." He said, "No, I don't see it." Dismissed.
Huh.
He didn't feel it should go to court because there wasn't enough evidence to support,
Their side of the story.
the other side, or the fact that the cops didn't witness it or something. But yeah, they did. They did. But apparently he's like that. He gets caught like that constantly, and he's been very pro Black Lives Matter, and and while they were going around graffitiing the entire Washington D.C., he wouldn't prosecute any of it.
So he's putting the activist in judge.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
The Frederick Douglass Foundation and Student for Life of America wrote their pro-life version of the slogan. They were immediately arrested and the chalk protest removed, right next to the Black Lives Matter.
That's the thing, yeah.
And they were saying that the cops didn't see the Black Lives Matter, but it's on their body cams,
right?
And the cops are testifying, yeah, we did, but they didn't do anything to them. They were protected species, but a pro-life guy couldn't do it. So, and so Turley is talking about, Boasberg. He's kind of whining about Trump's power, and yet he exceeds his own on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's not an example of Trump's power.
No.
That's just...
The First Amendment prohibits government discrimination on the basis of viewpoint. To permit one side to have a monopoly in expressing its views is the antithesis of constitutional guarantees.
Right.
The protection for freedom of speech applies not only to legislation but also the enforcement of the laws.
I'm guessing Boasberg isn't the one that just said that. That was a quote.
No, that came from Turley. But this guy hates Trump so much.
Yeah.
That he goes after Trump and exceeds his authority all the time because he goes after Trump because Trump's exceeding his authority. That's what he says. But that's why so many of the Trump cases, I mean, what is it, the 90-some%, get reversed.
Yeah. Well,
but Boasberg doesn't care.
And it bothers me when they say, a judge appointed by Trump or a judge appointed by Biden. Or
they always say.
I'm like, it
shouldn't be that way. I agree with you.
But
that's where we are.
It does.
Yeah. Hey, Gilbert, good morning.
Hey, I remember why I wanted to call you this morning, but we were talking about something else. Russ, I've been in Yuma for a long time,
Yes, you have.
and I walked around Smucker Park for many years,
Yeah.
many years, right? And we had that fiasco with that company, with the county and all that crap, but they got that straightened out, I believe. My question now is, why in the blankety blank with a bunch of F's in there
Woo.
are they
Wow.
putting palm trees in Smucker Park?
Well, that's part of the problem.
Yes.
What?
That-
Palm trees are a problem?
Well, the palm trees
Yes.
in Smucker Park.
Why?
Well,
Yes.
because they had
Yes.
full shade trees.
Oh, they had shade trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Palm
They
trees
had
are not shade trees.
No, they're not.
Yes. And they do not even contrast with the landscape
Mm-mm.
of Smucker Park.
I don't oppose palms. I like
do.
palms. Oh, okay, but
They don't give no shade. What shade do they give?
but I agree with you. Smucker's Park always had a lot of shade, and the shade's gone. They let everything die.
Yeah. Well,
They-
because of what the construction, the so-called construction. Given that process, why in the blankety blank are you putting freaking palm trees instead of ficus trees
Right.
or something that would give out? Because Smucker Park is known for families to be able to go there and picnic underneath the trees.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
And we
Doug's-
could even have the homeless falling asleep underneath the trees.
I'm not anti palms, but I'm very pro shade. So you're right.
Yeah.
And Doug's been aware of this for a while. He's
Yeah, he
working
has.
on it. We were over there
Yeah.
just the other day for lunch, and there are other palm trees scattered throughout the park that was unaffected,
Uh-huh.
but they're between these massive shade trees. And like you said, it doesn't even fit with the landscaping. It's not a desert landscape in the park.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
would anyone think
exactly.
of putting palm trees in there? But
And you know what? And I'm not even going to buy into, well, they take less water.
That,
BS.
yeah, that's not the concern.
That might be part of the thing, but you know what? We want shade.
Yeah.
When I had my quadruple bypass, I walked Smucker Park. And I did, when I first got back to Yuma, I was doing a mile and a half. But thank God I had those shade
The
trees that I
shade
could,
trees, yeah.
I could stop.
Yeah.
And the landscape was beautiful. Now I
Yeah,
understand
it
they
was.
had to do this whatever BS thing, but I understand the county gave it back to the city, so it was the city's decision to put those damn palm trees.
I don't think it was.
On-
I think the contractors did that when they. My understanding is the city
Mm-hmm.
complained you took out all the trees, and so they were like, "Oh, okay, we'll put the trees back in," and they put in the palm
But someone
trees.
had to approve it. Yeah, someone had to approve that.
Yeah, it came from the city or the county, but it's a city
It was the
property.
city that-
Yeah, it's
Right,
managed by
right,
the
right.
city.
But I'm asking Mr. Mayor, please, with your wisdom that you have, let's get back to basics. Put our shade trees back there.
Yeah.
Smucker Park was known for having beautiful shade trees for people to picnic, relax, and enjoy the sights. So
Yeah, well, he's already won his election. He's got time now to look into
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Although maybe
Well,
it's
he
his decision. I don't know.
well, if that was his decision, he needs to.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah,
I've talked to him before, and he was not happy with it. So,
Oh, the
Yeah,
mayor's not?
So,
no, he's not happy with it.
yeah, so push the buttons, push the right buttons, as I say. As Carter says, I just know what buttons to push.
All right.
So
well-
that's my call, and I'm asking everybody: let's unite and let's get Smucker Park back to what it was
Some
once.
shade trees.
And they didn't call Copa High School the Gopher Heads for nothing,
Did they call
because the
them?
Gopher lives in. Yeah, remember they used to call Copa Gopher.
Ah, I didn't
Copa
know that.
Gopher.
I never.
Yeah, because their school's in a hole, just like a gopher.
Huh,
Okay. I don't think
Right?
that's a complimentary thing, but
Yeah.
okay.
that might have just
course
been like
not.
Yuma
Oh,
High
okay.
called them go for it.
Of course,
Okay.
was it? But please, let's get Smucker Park to back where it used to be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Take care,
Bye.
man. Bye-bye. All right, I'm going to text Doug Nichols this morning, let him know
What's going on with the trees?
Gilbert's on the warpath, man. He wants to know about the trees. Why? Because and they don't. I like the shade trees out there.
Oh, they're fantastic.
There is none now.
Well, half of it has them still.
Well,
Yeah.
the ones that died off were the ones furthest away from the school. The school was still irrigating, and they were sucking up enough water to on that border.
Oh, is that what's going on?
Yeah, they shut off the irrigation.
For the whole park?
Yeah, which was no
I
reason.
didn't know that.
No reason to, from my mind. I mean, they cut the lines and all that, but they could have brought a farming water truck in and watered them. They
Yeah.
didn't. They just let them die.
Huh.
It's hindsight. But, it took long. It took forever.
Oh, yeah. Those shade trees take years and decades to grow.
Well, and then I did speak with the mayor Nichols once about it. He says, well, we're replanting and we're not putting in little ones, which is true. Some of them are like 6 foot tall, but they're skinny and there's no shade.
Yeah.
But those are not small trees, when you buy, a 6 foot tall, 8 foot
Right.
tall tree. But you can't buy a mature tree. It would be horrendously expensive
Right.
to try to do that. Data centers. You like data centers? You love data centers?
If we get a good deal where they're going to provide electricity and water, and not just for themselves, I'd love them to provide more for the community. I'm all for it.
Well,
These people are going to make a fortune off of their data centers, so let's get some for the community when they build it. Let's go for it.
I think that's a healthy answer, a correct answer. Now, there's many people on different sides of this issue that say absolutely no data centers ever.
Right.
I hate them. They're terrible, and they do this, they do that, they do that. And I said, well, I didn't know you were such an expert on data centers. Obviously, you're not.
They're already here. We just need more of them.
I mentioned the other day on the phone, someone was, I think it was Clyde or something, called about the data centers. And I said, we have 4,000 or 5,000 of them in the United States. He says, no, he didn't. He's like, I had no idea. There's that many. I mean, people wouldn't think we do, but data centers have been around since the internet because that's where it's really for the cloud.
That's where the data is.
Yeah, they kept the cloud. Now, the AI has really upped the need
for it,
and the horsepower
Yeah.
behind it. That you're going to need a lot more computing power on these AI things. So there's a lot more. So data centers aren't new, but nobody noticed them before.
Right.
But they have since China has put out their whole propaganda to kill them. Now,
Well, kill them here.
but
they
the
want them over there.
but the concerns are real. It's not that the concerns
no,
aren't.
yeah.
The concerns are real.
Right.
The concerns of power and water are the two main ones that are real.
And that's why you negotiate a good deal for building one.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
And then there's some other concerns. Some is about. I mean, I guess some of them have had noise issues.
Okay.
I don't know why a data center would hum. I mean, it's
it's
computers inside a
computer.
building. But I don't know. Maybe there's
Well,
a,
it's like a massive computer, and so there could be vibrations in the ground,
Maybe.
things like that. But
I don't have enough information about that. But
bring them on here. We have a lot of empty space, and
I think that complaint is relegated to just a few of them. There's not they're not
well,
all
it's
of
going
them.
to be the ones close by.
Another one is that the takes up too much land.
We got
We
plenty.
don't want anybody to build a building because we could bet better use for land. There's a lot of land around, dude.
Yeah.
And it's up to private business if they want to put a building.
Yeah, drive outside your city. Everywhere in the United States,
Yeah,
there's a lot of land.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but they're just searching for a reason.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people complain about land all the time about, well, farmland, we shouldn't put houses and all that stuff. And there's a lot of those questions.
Right.
And that's one of them. But that one was a surprise. That was a big reach for me. That it's a business, but we can't put up land. There's a lot of businesses I don't like or agree with that buy land. I would never think, well, we shouldn't give them the land.
Right.
They shouldn't be able to buy land because they run a business I don't like. And it would be better. I've also heard a lot of people call and says, well, how much food do they produce? I mean, what do they produce? Meaning more productive things could go in, or how many people do they employ? And all those things, it's private enterprise.
Right.
If somebody wants to buy property and put up, anything, they've
That's
pretty
their
much
right,
got
yeah.
the right to do that if it's not harming anything.
And they do bring in an enormous amount of construction jobs.
Yeah,
that's being built.
initially.
Yeah, initially, once it's up and running, it doesn't have a lot of employees.
Some
but
of them
it-
do,
Some of them do.
40, 50 or something, but
Yeah.
that's a good business for a small town.
But the function of the data center allows other businesses to function, so it's still a good deal.
Yeah.
The idea of it takes up too much land. On our trip, we had to go by Vegas.
Yeah.
Have you been by Vegas in the last few years?
Probably about 5.
Have you seen the solar?
No. Some of
farms?
it, yeah.
Oh my goodness, they are
Huge,
enormous.
massive. Yeah.
On both sides. We came up from the south and we went off towards the east. On both sides of Vegas, these massive solar.
But there wasn't
power
much out there
farms.
before, and there's
Well,
space.
there's still not much out there, but I
Yeah.
mean, people are complaining about how much space an
Yeah.
AI center will take
Well,
up. They're putting so much land committed to the solar panels.
I had no idea it was gotten that big. I mean,
It's
there's
huge. It took us.
they've been growing
miles.
it. I mean, they've been doing it for years.
It took us miles and miles to drive past them, and who knows how far off the highway
Yeah.
they go. I mean, we're talking multiple.
Well,
miles,
Vegas sucks
square
up a lot of
miles.
energy.
They do, yeah. but-
They do that.
Yeah,
But anyway, the reason I'm talking about data centers is because it's been in the news a lot. There's been so
Yeah.
much hate, and sometimes just misinformed.
it's a lot of misinformed.
A lot of misinformed.
Yeah.
And it's not that there could be a bad plan for a data center to be put in Yuma that I would find objectionable and say, oh heck no.
Right.
But it needs to be done on a case by case basis.
Exactly.
You just can't ban all.
And some of the hate I think is coming because some communities did bad plans.
Yeah.
And they're using that as look, they got shafted over here. Well, that's because they didn't negotiate well. Now that's on them.
Yeah.
They shafted themselves. But
And-
New York doing a year-long moratorium, we're just not going to deal with it. Well, that's just hiding your
That's
head in
just
the sand.
lazy.
Yeah,
Like, we don't want to look into the problem. Let's just ban it.
yeah.
It's just lazy. They fell
There's-
into China's.
There's a
things.
certain
But
blue
I
and
th-
red.
I read a
distinction.
report that said half of the data centers that were on the books to be done, half of them had either been delayed or canceled
Right.
because of all the uproar,
Yeah.
which they trace back to a lot of the Chinese misinformation and stuff that goes out there.
Because the Chinese want to control it all.
And not that all the concerns are not valid; they are valid.
No, they
and
are.
we need to look at them.
But they're not insurmountable.
But President Trump came out a few months ago and talked about them and said, look, we're going to start requiring these mega centers. Now, not all centers are equal.
Right.
Some take more power than small cities to run them.
Right.
Well, at a certain level, they got to bring all their own power.
They're-
And that's what they're doing. And there's a lot of them on the
I would
books.
say at any level they bring their own power.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how big some of them get. Some of them can be absorbed. Some of them can't. You got to remember how much power.
Well, when if a developer wants to build houses where there's no electricity, they have to pay for the
Data centers
the
do.
lines to be brought out.
Data
and things
centers
like
do
that,
too.
So it's not unreasonable to say you have to provide for your own
Sure. Well, but
infrastructure.
But this would require sometimes infrastructure, and that is a real question. And they pay for their own infrastructure, but sometimes just new power plants and all that kind of stuff just to cover it, because the amount of power that they're talking about in the future is going to be a massive increase over what we're producing.
Right.
And if the power companies want to raise the rates now to cover it, that's just not fair.
Right.
Well, Donald Trump has got a new pledge out there. It's not binding, but it's a pledge to governors that they've signed to protect households from absorbing utility costs tied to data centers. I don't know why every governor wouldn't look at this, but who the governors that have signed it so far, all Republicans. There's 23
Right.
of them, and they're among nearly 200 stakeholders, major utilities, data center developers, public power co-ops who have signed the Trump's ratepayer protection pledge. The pledge was, and I think it's important to put these things forward to say, look, we hear you.
Exactly.
We're addressing the issue, whether it's real or not today or in the future. We want to address it. And Trump's been a defender of the data center. I mean, he understands that for us to continue to grow our AI and advance it beyond where we are, because China's trying to catch us.
Yep.
And it's important that we need the data centers.
And this pledge and who signed it, I think, is an example of why there's hatred out there, whether it's informed or otherwise. If Trump likes it, people are going to hate it.
But we got
And
people
that's
running.
just the way it is.
We got people running for office that they tie into populist type ideas or whatever, and we got some of them run for office that says, "I will never approve of any AI, center data centers and stuff." And I'm like, why
That's-
would you
yeah.
say that without no? Well, you say it because a lot of the people will just say, "Yeah,
Right.
that's my guy," which is unfortunate, but that's what we do.
Well, it's red versus blue again without
Mostly,
without reasonable thought.
But
They
there's
just
there's
jump on
Republicans
one
that
side or
are
the
against data centers too,
Yeah.
without checking it out, without looking at them. They get some anecdotal evidence from some of them that would not be good for us. They use too much water, or too much power, or something like that. And they couldn't fit, or particularly with new technologies of closed systems for cooling, closed systems that with gels and stuff that don't use the water.
Right.
But people don't want to talk about it. And they just say, nope, don't want them. Well, he had this on an event on July 23rd. The Environmental Protection Agency headquarters for governors are scheduled to be there, or will be there. And companies sign a pledge to agree to protect American consumers from price hikes due to data center energy infrastructure requirements and lower electricity costs for customers in the long term. And the lower electricity cost is real in that some data centers already are producing their own power, and they produce much more than they need.
That's what I'm looking for.
And a lot of that does go back to the communities in some way. I'm sure there's some cost, but it's apparently
Well, and there's talk of the, and I know I'm not using the right name for them, but like the mini nuclear
yes,
power plants, the modular ones, and it might be hard for a government to get those started or something like that, because the local community is like, oh, that's terrible, it's scary or whatever. But a private business, they might have more freedom to get something like that going, and that could benefit everybody in this. And even if not a lot of people are using the power, if people start saying, no, nuclear power is safe and functional and effective, then it would change people's attitudes, and we could start moving towards nuclear power more.
And I talked about that the other day. These pocket reactors, or they call them different names.
Yeah.
They come in and they can bury these things. They don't have to refuel them. Some like 3 years to 20 years, depending on the model, how they're built, all that kind of stuff. And then they just swap them out, pull them in, pull them out. And they put them on containers, like they can come down the road on a tractor trailer.
Really?
Yeah, and then put them in. Somebody commented to me, well, those nuclear power uses water too, a lot of water. In fact, it's true. Palo Verde uses a lot of water. It's all reclaimed water, but it's the only power plant of its type, nuclear, that isn't on a big body of water.
Oh, okay.
Most of them are on the ocean or on
Right.
big rivers or lakes or something like that. It's true, but these pocket reactors, depending on how they're designed, there's a lot of different designs. Some are air cooled, some are closed looped cooled. Much like the radiator in a car, and they make them differently. I don't understand all technologies, but I read, there's 4 or 5 different ways that they're.
there's a lot of
And again,
different
that's something that has to be looked at to say, can we
Support that.
support that?
Yeah.
And
So
he said,
ask questions, get the information, then make
yeah,
decisions.
and the same. So some of them could come in and use virtually no water other than the plumbing for the employees.
Right.
The break room.
That'll use up more.
Yeah, we got to use a
More
break
water
room. We
than
got a
anything else,
break
yeah.
room going on.
But that there's also a solution for that. There's the idea of you mentioned reclaimed water. There's desalination.
Yeah.
When water starts becoming more valuable, desalination becomes more feasible.
Desalination has come so far, and I've read before on Israel. Israel is a desert, pretty much dry, and they were limited in water, always hurting for water, and they started aggressively doing the desalination and all that. And now they sell water to adjoining countries. They sell it
Right.
because they got an abundance of water.
Right.
And the cost per gallon and everything, cost per acres, everything is so much less now. And people automatically say, well, the cost is prohibitive,
And it used to be.
Not some of the new
Not-
technology
yeah.
stuff. You still pay for it, but it's not like it was. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air, Mike.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Again, for the sake of how close we are to the midterms,
Yeah.
and we have to win both the House and the Senate. You made a comment that about the data centers,
Right.
and again, you're all inclusive.
What do you mean?
Does the media speak for America? The mainstream media?
No.
Overall, no. I mean, they got some followers that are going to follow them.
That little group of people does not dictate the tone of America. And when you say America's complaining, I can't remember the wording you used, but you use that that phrase in relation to, well, where are you getting that? You're getting it from the mainstream media.
No.
And again, I have to ask. Nobody listens to the mainstream.
Well, here's what
media.
well, somebody is, because half, like I said, half of the new data centers that were on the books to be built have either been paused or canceled due to all of the noise, and a lot of that noise is coming through social media, and
The noise is coming through the mainstream media.
It's coming through
some of
both,
it too, I imagine, but I guess the China part of it started coming through a lot of social media. And they've tracked back to China that was trying to destroy the image, and it's worked. A lot of I've talked to many people anecdotally.
Just like the Soviet Union with the KGB worked with the nuclear reactors in America, using the mainstream media, using Walter Cronkite and all of the hippies from colleges. Let's take back the narrative, Russ. Let's conquer the narrative.
Well, we're
we're
attempting to do that right now by getting a lot of the truths out now. But
But you need to condemn the others. You need to condemn the story. You need to condemn that author. You need to condemn the context of America is against these things, and that is not true.
I'll point out the fallacies, and it's not true. I'm not going to. I fall short of I'm going to condemn them. I can tell them I don't like them, or they're always on.
Well, you should condemn them because it is coercive. It's for no good, and it backs the communist China.
I want people to remember the comments about the systems, and not comments about he just hates this author. He's just aggressive. We see too much of that negativity, like in the races.
They're going to they are. You have to meet negativity with negativity, and there's not. You condemn our negativity when we are correct.
But I'm going to tell the facts. Let people make up their own mind.
There you go.
I'm going to tell the facts and say, look, this is what this guy's doing. It's wrong. And I talked about Carlos Adams. I don't condemn him. I just say it's a bad move. You shouldn't do it. Carlos Adams ran against the mayor and put out a lot of trash. It just wasn't true. Now, I'm not going to call him names and condemn him or anything like that. I'm going to say
I didn't call anybody names, but I want people to remember and correlate what the Soviet Union did with stopping nuclear reactors in this country, and what's going on with communist China and these data centers. Now, that said, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Was Korea a declared war?
No.
Was Vietnam a declared war?
No.
Why are we calling Trump's involvement in Iran a war? Why are we letting them get away with that?
Maybe because it's a Department of War. I don't know. I think it's a great question, Mike. I do.
Because they and the only reason why the media likes to use that term is because they can say Trump said no wars. Iran is not a war. Venezuela was not a war.
Trump never said that. Trump has never in his life said no wars. He says no forever wars.
Right.
And there's a distinct difference.
But the media don't forget, the media speaks to the idiots.
Sure.
The media speaks to that. The media speaks to the idiots, and the media speaks to the fringe, weak Republicans. Because the media is starting to say, because of Iran, we have all these high prices, and because of Iran, MAGA is being divided, and because of Iran, it's affecting Trump's popularity. Although in the election on Tuesday, a majority of Trump's selections won their thing.
Yeah.
7 of them in Arizona won that were Trump elected.
Endorsed.
Oh yeah, he had a great day. Trump did. Yeah.
You know, and but you know, what about Ukraine? How come the Congress isn't? How come we are in Ukraine? Why is that prolonged? And yet they're asking for Trump to ask for more time for Iran.
I wish that one wasn't long. It was supposed to last 3 days, but it's gone on more. It's been amazing.
What was supposed to last 3 days?
The war, but I mean, Russia invasion of Ukraine was supposed to last 3 days.
Right, but you know, I don't hear the Republicans or the Democrats talking about let's stop that.
No, Democrats are very friendly towards the actions in Iran, Ukraine, and you're right about that. They are.
Whenever the mainstream media says Iran war, we need to correct that.
But
because it's not a war.
And you mentioned Vietnam not being a war and Korea not being a war, but the press always wrote war. You never heard anything about Vietnam conflict or the Korea conflict.
Well, in languages like that, you know, people have a common usage of a word and a legal usage of a word.
Yeah.
And commonly we call it war, but legally,
they are using it.
Yeah.
They are using that word to attack Trump's promises.
Yeah.
Not a single promise of Trump has Trump fulfilled. You know, we have to take back the narrative. We have to stop letting the media dictate what we should think.
Well,
and that goes with the data centers.
And we combat that with shows like this and choosing to give your attention to people that are speaking the truth and share with the people around us. Hey, that's not factual. This is what's factual, and using reason and facts to correct the lies that are going around. So we're working on it. We're working on it.
But we need to work harder.
Yeah.
And you need to identify it and slap it down. Oh, okay. I shouldn't say slap it down. Nicely bring it to the ground.
Agreed. It needs to be stated. And I looked it up real quick on whether Trump does call it a war. Apparently, he's made comments that he will never call it a war. He won't call it a war.
Well, it has slipped a time or two.
That's what it says in here too. It says he's casually said something about it, but yeah.
Correct, but it's easy to say that, and that's okay. But the media is more sinister.
Yeah,
right.
The media wants it to be a war. That's what I'm saying. Okay,
they jump on it and say, well, if it's a war, then Congress should have approved it. I didn't mean war.
Every headline I see about Iran is war. Yeah. There is no one that doesn't say it that I see.
Both of you, do you think we should still be there?
I think we need to finish it.
I think it needs to be finished, and I got an article on that I thought was well written.
I think it needs to be finished when it comes to fruition.
Exactly.
Because if we don't, and again, you can't make the argument that you guys want to make unless you differentiate Iranian people from mullahs. You can't talk about Iran unless you talk about the mullahs. We are in a fight against the mullahs, and mullahs are cockroaches. Once you stop, they're going to. I'm sorry I used that derogatory word.
Okay.
I take it back. Yeah. But once you stop, they're going to come back.
They come back, yeah.
And it's good. Huh?
Yeah, they come back, yeah.
Yeah, all they want to do is survive for another day. That's their whole mission.
Yeah. And so we need to support. Let me say something. The people who are in uniform for Donald Trump that are over there, they're proudly fighting under the leadership of Trump.
Yeah, it's a volunteer service, correct?
And the bingo, but I heard yesterday that the mainstream media likes to talk about the 4 deaths. What is it, 4 or 5?
4, yeah.
And again, I'm not hearing Democrat or Republican talking about the 14 murders from when Biden pulled out of Afghanistan.
I've seen a few on those. There's been a few comments about that, and that was ridiculous what Biden did in Afghanistan. It was just an embarrassment.
You know,
Yeah.
the weak Republicans and the Democrats don't care about the 4 deaths. They only talk about it in order to get back at Trump. They're using my brothers and sisters to get back at Trump, to get back at this war in Iran.
Yep.
That war in Iran needs to go to fruition.
It does, and I love the fact that Trump went to Dover, Delaware, to receive with the families the bodies of those, and to not forget, and to thank those families, thank them, and even in their sadness, and give the respect that what they gave to country, and how much it means. I like that, and I like that he's not ignoring it.
Here's a story that needs to be exploited.
What's up?
If Trump wouldn't have done this, where would Iran be today?
Probably with a nuclear weapon, according to all the intelligence reports. And I do believe them. I mean, we've been lied to before. You got to check things out. But
do you think we should have did what we did in Venezuela?
Yeah. I didn't know at the time. I didn't understand it. But yeah.
But you understand? You just made a comment at the time. When we needed you because you didn't understand it, you condemned it, and that's what Victor.
I did not. I never condemned it at all. I said I didn't understand it at the time.
Your vernacular was, this may not be wrong when it was 100% correct.
I didn't understand what was going on at the time, but
so let's use that same thing for Iran right now, because really, we really don't understand what Trump is doing with 10-dimensional chess.
No, but we understand a lot more of the problem. We understand a lot more of the seriousness, and Iran has exposed themselves now that they have a right to a nuclear weapon. So the fact they were building a nuclear weapon is not even in a question anymore. They tell us now they were. They tell us they deserve it. And so those people are out there saying, "Well, we don't know if they're built." Yeah, we do. We do know the intelligence was good.
And
who
that's
has a right to a nuclear weapon?
Iran is saying that they do, right?
Oh, okay. I thought you said that they had a right to a nuclear weapon.
Iran said they had a right to own one.
But that's why we need to be able to trust our president, because we shouldn't know all the details, all the backstories of everything.
Absolutely.
And we need to trust that they're looking at all the information and they're making decisions that are in the best interest of our country, and we need to back them up. So when something happens, like Nicaragua, we were like, what was that about? I trust you. Do what you need to do. Do what's good for us, and we'll shake everything out later. And I think.
Thank you for understanding the Iran-Contra thing. Yes,
yeah.
But aren't you tired about these punk journalists trying to second guess what Trump is doing there militarily, and when they're given the privilege to ask him a question, they try to tell him how to fight that war. Isn't that disgusting?
I think it's terrible. And it's I guess it's a curiosity of mine. I mean, I watch it and I'm like, wow, that's ridiculous. But I generally don't comment on brand new stuff. I wait for details, but they jump in and they already know the answers, which is stupid. They can't know the answers.
And one more question, if you let me.
Yeah.
What does Iran have to do with London and England?
I don't know.
I don't know.
When you can answer that question, and it has a lot to do with London and England.
Okay.
When you can answer that question, then you understand the depth and width of Iran. And you made a comment about insurance in the Gulf of Hormuz.
Right.
There's only one entity that holds insurance for that. There's only one entity that has enough money to hold insurance for that.
Oh.
And that's the Lloyd's of London. And Trump, what did Trump do to the Lloyd's of London?
I have no idea.
He canceled them, and that's why they're so pissed off, because they're not making money. They're not making money on the deductible for the insurance that only they provide. And who took over the insurance for Lloyd's of London?
I got to run, my friend. I got a call coming in. I have to take. Thank you, Mike. Bye-bye.
Oh, I think you hung up on the wrong one.
I did.
Try again, Jim.
Yeah, I'll call him back.
Jim Paff Studio.
Hey, Jim, Russ Clark, how are you, sir, man?
Good.
That's good. Good to call. We were in the middle of a conversation with about Iran and stuff. With should we carry that to the end? It was kind of like should we make sure that we don't walk away from this, that we absolutely go in and take care of the reasons we were there in the first place, just to open the Strait of Hormuz, to make sure no nuclear. And that question shouldn't even be asked, but it looks like it's out there a lot now, and there's a lot of people that would like to pull out of Iran on the Democrat side.
Well, I think there are some on the Republican side too. If you think about it, I mean, this is a politically charged situation for the United States as we go into midterm elections.
Yeah.
And people will react to that. It's a big risk what Donald Trump has done. I don't see how you can pull out of it at this stage. Now, we have a new complication that just came up today, if you're probably aware of it, is that the Houthis are now attacking Saudi Arabian ships coming through the Red Sea. Remember, one of the big things that this accelerated was Saudi Arabian attempts to finalize and expand their pipeline structure going out to the Red Sea so that they don't have to deal with the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
And that's been a real positive thing. That caused oil prices to jump up to about $90 today.
Well, I heard even 100. I'm looking at a couple different things.
No. I'll have to look at the prices again. Earlier this morning, they were at about 90.
But
that's the risk, though. I mean, that's when you do tough things, you have tough risks come along. And but I think to pull away now would just be devastating because Iran has set the precedent of trying to control the strait, and I don't think that can be tolerated. But it was the greatest risk going into this. I think everyone truly knew that.
Right. And I was reading some op-eds on that this morning about Trump has to carry it through, and he can't change, he can't stop, regardless of the cost, and it may cost the elections.
I'm not sure yet that it's going to cost the elections, but I have to say there is no comfort zone right now for November in the least. I mean, you can't say that the trend is not yet working for Republicans.
No.
For November, it's just not there yet. There are good factors. We went through all the redistricting, and Republicans won that. So that works in Republican favor. The Senate, in my mind, still seems secure, but there's a downside risk there. But the numbers are okay in the Senate. It's just the House that's really, really tricky.
But the fact that you're saying it's tricky, I think, is an achievement because, according to history and everything, and as close as it was to begin with, the incumbent executive branch usually loses the House.
Right.
And the fact that it's tricky and it's close is it's a pretty good start.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we're.
Well, I'm not a big believer in the Fox News polls because I
was going to ask you about that.
Lower.
I read those this morning. I was like, my goodness.
Yeah, I think they go lower than reality. This is why I tend towards what Rasmussen puts out and a few others.
Yeah.
That number though has like a 6-8% partisan D or R for Congress number. I think that's a little high, but Republicans, I mean, it's not way off. I think it's at least 3 or 4 points down. Now, Republicans have kept the House with those numbers in years past.
Okay.
Right? So I think that, I still think it's in play. I'll tell you what I really believe is the bigger factor for whether Republicans can keep Congress or not is the Save America Act. I think that's the biggest issue here. I think the other big issue is that Congress has not ensconced the DOGE cuts into their budget efforts. And that is I think a bigger factor in the minds of Americans. You look at polls and I think that people kind of want us to stop the Iran thing and have it over with. I think that when the MOU came out and there was a sense of quiet and a seeming move towards progress, people received that well. I'm not sure that people will receive the current situation nearly as well. And it does seem to be getting dirtier with the Red Sea situation coming up. Frankly, I think you're going to find once again that Donald Trump's likely to send some military assets over in that region and hit the Houthis again. That would be more effective than what he's doing with Iran right now. And it might shut down the Red Sea situation. But I think that, you're in a situation where this becomes dicey. And I think that Iran is a complicating factor, not fundamentally the problem when it comes to the November elections. That's my read on it. And I think that anyone that thinks that the November elections are going to turn on Iran, I think is fooling themselves. Iran, though, could make it much worse if it got a lot worse, obviously.
Right.
But that's not the driving factor for these elections. I think the American people, and definitely the Republican base, is 100% on board with Donald Trump. I think when you look at independent numbers, they're not strong, but they are not. They're not indicating that there's no recovery from this, because independent voters are moving in Trump's direction when good news happens. So, and I say Trump's direction because really this is Trump's party. There's another factor, and it's going to be interesting to see, and we're going to actually try to get down there and be a part of it to the degree we can, is the GOP convention that's coming up in the, first week or so of September. I think it's September 8th and 9th.
Yeah, that's kind of a new thing going on too.
Yeah, it is. And if they can put together a good program and inspire people, that can be very helpful if they follow through on it the rest of the way through to November. So there are a lot of factors that are being juggled around right now that could help or hurt all along the way. I think that's the situation that we're in. Excuse me. And I think that I still think Republicans can pull it off. But Karl Rove, who I don't have a lot of respect for, but Karl Rove was on Fox News the other day, and he did actually show some data that is important. And so when you look at how many or the percent of wins in any midterm election that happened with the toss-up races, and there are about 15 of them in the House right now, that the historical average is about 74% of those go in the direction of the opposite party in power.
Right.
And that would, if it plays out that way in this election, then that's not good for Republicans. They would lose the House.
Okay.
And it would be a stronger majority for Democrats than Republicans.
Now,
that is looming, and it's a real data point that you have to pay attention to.
How much
stranger things have happened?
How much has the Republicans gained just from this gerrymandering thing that's gone on in Texas and some other states?
I think the number is right around 11 to 15 seats, maybe. But some of the key factors in that are, in particular, the Texas seats that are picked up, because the R&D on those, if you base it on the 2024 elections, has Hispanics voting for Donald Trump in those districts, and that may or may not accrue to actual R numbers going into November if Hispanic voters aren't on board. I think they're more on board than people realize, honestly, because I still believe that Hispanic origin citizens, whether they're first, second, or third generation, I still think are on Trump's side when it comes to immigration policy, because they know that it's the right thing to do. They know more specifically, and I'm talking about these Texas districts, they know more specifically how bad the situation can be if we don't deal with Biden's mass immigration policy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, and the numbers are not horrible for Trump when it comes to the current move towards, deporting people, particularly criminals.
No,
But I think that the Hispanic population is for and you see, I'm sure you see it in your area too. The deportation, even of non-criminals, is still relatively popular in Hispanic populations. The question is, will they come out and vote and be part of the elections?
And that seems to be the only unified attack from the Democrats is the ICE situation. Otherwise, they seem, and we're talking about the statistics and history of midterm elections, but the Democrats seem quite disjointed, especially with the DSA going on. I really don't think it's going to turn on the Iran. ICE, the ICE issue is getting some attention, but I just don't feel like they're presenting a unified front. They seem to be fighting amongst themselves with this whole DSA thing, and I heard a lot of people on Fox News. Let's talk more about them. They're doing more for the Republicans than they are for the Democrats. So, do you think that's going to be a big factor?
I think it is one of those juggling factors. I think the ick factor on communism is growing, and that's a dynamic that plays out in elections in ways that you don't always see in polls. So the question is, related to that or any of these other factors, is will people come out to vote? That's the number one thing. And this is why those midterm elections it's the main dynamic that midterm elections rise or fall on. Because when things are not sorted out with what the current administration is doing in any of these midterm elections, then the motivation to go out to vote is not necessarily strong. When you have resolutions to the outstanding items, that's when you can change the whole voter turnout dynamic. And midterm elections are all about turnout. Because you have a good 20 to 35 or 40% drop in overall turnout compared to presidential years. People are showing up at presidential years because the news is constantly rolling about the election. And people, remember, your average American is not sitting around handicapping political efforts.
True.
For the entire time leading up to an election, unless it's being talked about a lot. And that always happens in presidential years. It's one of the reasons why turnout is so much stronger, because that horse race is being played out day in and day out throughout an election season. That does not happen in off-year elections. What motivates people is how are you resolving the outstanding issues?
We didn't have a strong turnout in Arizona surprise you for the primary. I mean, I like the results, in fact. But the turnout was disappointing a little bit. I was hoping more people would be excited. And according to the Fox News
it's just not there.
It's not. And Fox News poll showed the Democrats more motivated than Republicans. I don't know why that would happen. I didn't like that poll either.
Well, it suggests to me that they're divided.
Well,
because the primary, they're deciding amongst themselves who's going to be running. And
so you think that divided would make them more likely to vote?
The division, they were like, well, I got to get out and vote for my guy. I got to get
well, maybe.
Whereas the Republicans are a little bit more unified right now, and so they all kind of already agreed. Well, that guy's going to win, so I don't need to go out.
Jim, were you surprised by the margin that Andy Biggs won in the governor race?
I'm not surprised. Both Andy and David Schweikert are friends of mine.
Okay.
David is kind of gone native a little bit in recent years. I mean, I love David personally, and we were always very close to him. Part of the reason is that I got close to him, other than the general and working on the Hill, is when I was the chief of staff for Tim Huelskamp from Kansas, was the time that 4 people got kicked off their committees. David was one of them. It was Tim, David Schweikert, and Justin Amash and Walter Jones got kicked off their committees because they just weren't going to play the Boehner game. And we were right in the middle of that battle together. And David's then chief of staff was a really good friend of mine. I love David personally. I mean, he's just a fun guy to be around, and he would always give me a hard time personally. But Andy's really the guy for that because he's incredibly intelligent. He's consistently and persistently on the conservative side of things through some real headwinds that would hit him from time to time. Of course, he's in a very safe district for a Republican, a district I used to live in. I used to live in Mesa, Arizona, at the northeast corner of the 202 at Power and McDowell Road. I used to live in that area, and so I know it a little well. I think Andy is the kind of leader that Arizona needs, and in fact, from our organizational perspective, when we get involved in independent expenditures, mostly on the federal level, but I'm very seriously considering us getting involved in Andy's race, trying to see what we can do from the outside to influence that, because I think it would be an incredibly important win for what Arizona really needs. I love Arizona. I tell myself sometimes, TPUSA's in Arizona. Why couldn't we base ourselves there? I say that to myself every once in a while. And I love the state. I mean, I really love Arizona. And I'm a winter guy, by the way, because Colorado's my adopted home. I went to work for Focus on the Family in 2005. I've lived in Colorado for most of this century. And we were just on vacation in Colorado. And I'm just missing it really bad. But I'm a winter guy. I love winter. But I have to tell you, interestingly, Arizona was just such a wonderful place to live. And I loved living in the valley. It's just a great place and beautiful. And so, but I have a real passion for Arizona personally. But I have a passion for Arizona just generally politically as a state. It's a key state in what we do electorally in this country. And we're about elections and about policy. And Andy, who is one of the most intelligent, David Schweikert is a really intelligent guy too. I love his intelligence. But Andy's incredibly intelligent and capable, and I think would make an amazing governor. He's got an administrative quality to what he does. So unlike, for example, my, I guess now former friend, Mike Pence, you remember we were on a call together and Mike runs up to me in the Indianapolis airport that one time. You remember that?
Right. Yeah.
A few months ago. I'm close. I was always close to Mike, but he went into the governor's office in Indiana and he has no administrative skill and he really flubbed it up. Andy would not be doing that at all. He's incredibly capable from that perspective. And you need to have an administrative mind to be a good governor.
Yeah.
So I think Arizonans would totally love having a guy like Andy Biggs in there. And it would be a wonderful day every day, seeing what he would be doing to reform what's been taking place in Arizona.
I like
and it ever since Janet Napolitano was governor, and I was living there at the time. I talked with Matt Salmon's campaign manager at the time. I had just run a gubernatorial campaign in Indiana before I had moved to Arizona just a few years before. And I said, hey, if I can be a help, let me be a help. And he never would be. And when Matt got reelected to Andy Biggs' seat, I was talking to him in D.C. And I said, I talked to your campaign manager and he blew me off. And it pissed him off really badly because he was really pissed off at how the campaign was run. He should have won that race against Napolitano, but it's been a challenge in Arizona ever since, because once you ensconce someone like Janet Napolitano, you set into place in a state that was surely had some rising Democrat support at the time, a very Republican state. Now you institutionalize your political problems.
Yep.
That's how key a governor's mansion is. You've got to win that governor's race to try to keep yourself from going down the path. This is what happened to Colorado in part, not to mention the feckless Republican Party that's been there most of the time. And the same thing could happen to Arizona if you continue reelecting a Katie Hobbs type person.
Yeah.
Andy's got a shot at winning that because of the fact that you've got Katie Hobbs under investigation by a Democrat Attorney General, and that's a complicating factor for her. She's not going to. She's going to avoid doing any debate against Andy, and he would put her flat-footed. He would totally make her look stupid. She knows that. And but I'm hopeful that people of Arizona, are able to put it together, even if they don't do a debate.
I don't know how she avoids it. I mean, I think it's expected, but we'll see. We'll see how she does it. They call Andy a firebrand. That's kind of one of his titles I see the press doing, and I'm trying to figure out is that a derogatory thing or is that a positive when you say someone's a firebrand?
Well, they want to make it derogatory, but my sense is that people in Arizona might like that.
Yeah,
and I think that you might get Republican energy in Arizona more than one might otherwise think, because Katie Hobbs has been a disaster.
Yeah.
The governor's mansion has been a disaster. Even back to Brewer, I mean, the governor's mansion has been a disaster for a long period of time, and I think you just might see Arizonans saying, "Hey, I think we do need a change here." And Andy's got to feed off that to be successful, and I think he potentially could. So, the media is going to call him a firebrand, but sometimes that's what voters want.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think of it as a negative. It just sounds great.
Yeah, I think
it's a positive. Oh, for guys like us, it's a big positive, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Low IQ or sleepy. I think that's kind of negative.
Yeah, that's hard to,
really.
That's hard to play.
Which, by the way, describes Katie Hobbs pretty well. Yeah.
I think Biggs did himself a great favor the way he did the acceptance speech. He reached out to fellow Republicans. He reached out to bringing everything together, and that's something Carrie Lake never got done.
No, that's right. And by the way, I really question whether the election was stolen from Carrie Lake. It was so close.
Yeah.
And that's a real issue. What's going on with the Maricopa County recorder situation right now, I think is potentially going to energize people to say, hey, what are these people doing? We voted this, and Maricopa County obviously is key for the state.
Yep.
You're going to see Republicans in Maricopa County say, hey, hold on a minute. We voted for this guy to be able to reform the system, and you've taken it away from him, and we're not going to put up with that. These are things that sometimes politicians don't fully take into account, and that is going to continue to play out legally, and I think that they need to keep pressing it legally. The reporter should be running the elections, but ultimately, citizens run elections. The people who we elect to manage the election process are there as administrators. Elections themselves should be run by citizens. They should not be ultimately run by these elected officials. That's the American tradition that we need to get back to. So I encourage, no one in Maricopa County maybe is listening to us right now. Hopefully they are, so that your audience is really large. But they need to know that. They need to recognize that it's up to them to get involved. Go and run a precinct, be involved with that.
Yeah.
Because you have to be watching what's going on, and particularly in the Democrat precincts in Maricopa County, because there are still Republicans there. You need to get them energized, and those add up, particularly when you're talking about a governor's race.
Yep.
Early on you mentioned the Save America Act as being something that would be much a positive. Is that? We've never stopped talking about it. Trump won't give up on it. Is it going to go through on reconciliation, or at least parts of it?
I think so. What I think has to happen, and maybe they're in the planning on it, they haven't announced anything, is J.D. Vance needs to take the reins of the Senate on this issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have heard that.
Because you've already got Lisa Murkowski saying she's not going to vote for Save America Act, which means she's a no on this reconciliation package. And because she, like some other Republicans, are going to say, you got to respect the parliamentarian. You got to listen to what they're saying, which is a bunch of bull crap.
Yeah.
Because parliamentarians don't run the legislative bodies. The elected leaders do.
Right.
And it's the members who decide what the rules are. That's constitutional, right? We're there in the Constitution. Each house is supposed to make their own rules. So J.D. Vance is the key factor in all this. He can come in as president of the Senate because he is the formal president of the Senate. We have had this thing where the vice president doesn't go run the Senate. They leave it to the majority leader to do that traditionally. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can definitely get in there and take the reins. I think on this issue, which I believe is existential to the future of America, of the American Republic, I think you need to make sure that gets over the line. And if you can at least get 50 votes, which I think they could do, then he needs to be the 51st vote. And he needs to go in and grab the rules, which is his prerogative as president of the Senate, and make sure that does happen and tell John Thune, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So that's the way to get that across the finish line.
Now,
I've been saying for months now that we need to get back to the gold standard of elections that we have had in this country for 230 years. When the religious right rose up, and my former boss and someone who endorsed me for a nascent congressional bid, James Dobson, when he and Chuck Colson and D. James Kennedy and Jerry Falwell had worked so hard for many years to get Christians to get out and vote, Democrats saw that as a threat in the late 90s. Certainly when George W. Bush got elected and reelected, they said, we've got to change the paradigm here. And their goal was not to change policy, but to change elections. So you have Mark Elias and Norm Eisen going out there doing legal things to force states to change their election process on a really scammy idea. And then when Barack Obama rose to prominence as president, they doubled down on that effort. And here we are with these elections. Like, there should not be a vote center counting votes in Maricopa County. That should be done at the precinct level. That's what we've always done in this country.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is absurd. You don't do that. Each precinct reports to the county recorders or whatever the county official is in whatever state. And they count the votes there because that's where the votes are. That's where the custody is. And Save America Act gets back to those sorts of things. We might not get rid of the vote center situation, but you got to get rid of these unsolicited mail ballots. It is absolutely absurd that we run elections this way and multi-day elections. We need to get rid of that. That is just not acceptable in this country. We've got to get back to where we were, because for 230 years, we certainly had our errors, but we had elections that worked. And when those errors happened, they were restricted to close geographic areas, and those problems have spread nationwide. That's why Barack Obama's advent was a big problem, because I think we have Cook County elections happening all over the country after that. And that is a real problem that we need to reverse.
Have you heard from Mitch McConnell?
Mitch and I are really close. I'm not supposed to say that publicly. Kidding.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on with him. I mean, I guess he is alive, so we can confirm that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him, but he's one of the worst things that ever happened to the Republican Party. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Net. He's going to possibly be a no vote. You got Murkowski as a no vote. You got Tillis as a no vote.
Yeah.
You potentially have Cassidy as a no vote. You may have Cornyn as a no vote now. And that's the real challenge of getting the Save America Act done through reconciliation. Everyone should go to Mike Lee's X profile and see what he said recently about it. And his X profile is Based Mike Lee, BASED, Based Mike Lee. He had been saying, which I think generally a lot of us agreed with, that you can't really pass the Save America Act through reconciliation, but he's changing his tune on that, and he explains why. I think that's an important explanation that people need to look at. But we've got to get that thing through.
Yeah.
We got to make it happen now. And I think that every county election and state election official in the country needs to conform to it immediately this election cycle if they can get it through.
But for Tillis and Cornyn and all, is it just hatred of Trump? Are they losing sight of the big picture? I just don't want to give Trump a win, or is there?
Well, to say that they're losing sight of the big picture is to presume that they ever had any sight of the big picture to begin with.
Good point.
None of them did. Cornyn was playing a game for a long period of time because he was up for re-election. It's kind of the standard thing in the Senate. This is why we need to go back to state legislatures appointing the senators, because these people play this game for 2 years leading up to their re-election, and then for 4 years they're absurd. And John Cornyn epitomized that. Yes, TDS is influencing a lot of this for these guys, but also the fact that they're just part of a broken system that they built themselves. Tillis is a prime example of that. And, the reality is, if Roy Cooper becomes senator and beats Michael Whatley in North Carolina to replace Tillis, he's probably going to vote more conservatively than Tom Tillis did. I mean, that's really kind of the absurdity of people like him.
Mm-hmm.
So now the worst part is that he's going to vote for the majority leader. But the reality is that there are guys like Tom Tillis in the Republican Party and Lisa Murkowski who aren't any more conservative than the Democrats that they serve with.
Murkowski's been explained as winning because of ranked choice voting. I don't know how all that
That's
stuff.
exactly why.
I don't know how that stuff ever got started and got going, but I don't hear as much push for it.
Blame libertarians for that. Libertarians, for a long period of time, and I'm a libertarian in my overall outlook on the government, so keep that in mind as I'm saying this. The libertarians, for a long period of time, have been saying we have a two-party system that is designed to remain that way, and frankly, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And they wanted an opportunity to break through because they've been beating their head against the wall for decades prior to talking about this. And libertarians have been talking about this, for 25, 30 years. They finally got it in a few states, and it turns out to be a disaster. Lisa Murkowski, the reason she doesn't want to vote for the Save America Act is because it would harm her chances moving forward. Because what she did is she made a deal with the devil. Joe Miller beat her in the primary, Republican primary. She ran as an independent, and she made a deal with her Democrat opponent. And her base and the Democrats' base said, vote for your preferred person, but vote for either Murkowski or the Democrat as your second choice.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that were supportive of Murkowski voted for the Democrat as their second choice. That's the reason she became governor. Senator. So she doesn't want any risk to that because she wants to maintain her ability to become a senator, and I think she needs to be kicked out.
Yeah. Trump has put a pledge together for data centers out there doing it. And I guess I've been surprised at the overall pushback against data centers. A lot of them have been canceled or delayed because of public opinion. And Trump's trying to kill that with this pledge, getting governors to sign it. What do we need to do to survive this whole negative on data centers? Is he going in the right direction, or is there more that needs to be done?
Well, you need it with information. Anyone that is interested in this issue should listen to some of the recent editions of the All In podcast. Chamath Palihapitiya, Jason Calacanis, Friedberg, and David Sachs have laid out the numbers that show that the negative sentiment towards data centers is not based on facts.
You're right.
And Donald Trump added something to this, which I think is very important, when it comes to the electricity issue, which is these data centers should be able to build their own energy generation plants of whatever sort that they want. Right. And there are a lot of good options out there. Businesses used to that had high electricity use, particularly in the manufacturing sector, historically built their own electrical generation plants.
Good.
I mean, even to this day, phone companies that provide line service, they generate their own power. The reason that most often do, the reason that went away is because of the whole climate change debate and the claim that, in decades past, when you would have this independent power generation, it would be with coal-operated power plants. And the restrictions on coal emissions, as they got worse and worse and worse, threw a lot of these independent power plants out of business because it was too expensive to try to do the cleaning procedures on coal generation. Well, as it is now, there are a lot of good options beyond coal that are available. There are small format nuclear power plants that can be used for this purpose. Of course, solar adds to that as well, particularly in states like Arizona, obviously, and other states in the West, that can supplement all this. And when you look at what XAI is going to do, and Elon Musk, I mean, he's all about solar power generation and battery use, and that can add a lot to it. Donald Trump has pledged to make it a lot easier for these data centers to be able to generate their own power and to get approvals to do so. And I think that needs to be an aggressive part of this. That's probably the major issue, because there's no doubt when you have commercial use of power generation, and if they're buying it from the local power companies, that obviously competes with regular ratepayers like us, and that can potentially cause some prices to go up in certain areas. Now, by the way, that's a short-term problem, because if these companies that generate power are able to build extra power generation, then those prices still go back down over a long period of time, even if the commercial properties are competing with that. But when you can have enough of these massive data centers be able to generate their own power, that part of the whole calculation goes away. But the other part of it is these claims of bad water use, of massive overtakes of land, because there is a large footprint for a lot of these data centers. There's so much land in this world, in this country, that is not even a problem. And in fact, Chamath Palihapitiya had put out a really excellent tweet, X post recently, showing that and describing how the land use is actually highly efficient with these data centers. I am very pro data center. One, this is going to be something economically in the future. My organization's using AI in a very significant way. I built out an entire operating system for our organization myself, utilizing AI. And it's I was just talking to my board chairman about this today. It's radically transformed how we do business. And we're very small scale, obviously. The overall benefit of what artificial intelligence use can be is, opportunities for high productivity and growth for companies all over the world. We need to be on the front end of that. And I think that, and we've got the players who want to do it. XAI continues to grow. And then obviously, SpaceX is going to be able to eventually put data centers in space. There's some arguments about the efficiency of that or whatever, but that'll get figured out over time. That adds something new to the whole paradigm as well. But, the reality is that this is a significant and important part of our economic future, is the success of AI in the United States. And we need to be the leader on it in the world to make sure that it is secure for the future. There are no other countries except China who are making any attempt to make progress in AI. I mean, not even in Europe are they doing it. And of course, mostly because of the regulatory structure, but the fact that they've become they've become very negative business environment. I mean, they've got 100 million more people in the European Union than the United States does, but they've got half the GDP we have. There was that recent report that Great Britain's economy doesn't even surpass Mississippi's economy.
Wow.
With far more people, and so on a GDP per capita basis, and we are the world leaders of business in this world. Donald Trump is reaffirming that through his administration. AI is a significant portion of it, and these data centers are going to be blessings, not curses.
I'm glad to hear you say it, because there's so much misinformation out there. It's going crazy. And every time I talk about it, I usually get beat up. People call in and ask me if I'm not paying attention, whatever.
Well, listen, with solar power generation, states in the West should be a major place for data center growth. It's a huge opportunity, and it should not be passed off. It creates jobs, not just jobs building up these data centers, but ongoing jobs to maintain them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a blessing to our economy. It's a blessing to an area. It's not a curse in any way.
I like the small nuclear better. In fact, Arizona, I understand we're green light to go ahead and put one in if we get a contract and get that done. And there's 7 being built right now for data centers, not in this state, but in other states. Right. So
yeah,
it's
Arizona
coming.
should be a technology hub.
It
has every capability to be that, and it should be an aggressive thing. I think guys like Andy Biggs would make that an aggressive policy.
Yep, I
if
agree.
he can become governor, I think it would be excellent for the state.
On the military side, did you see where Hegseth and Kane had to go before Congress and get roasted by Democrats?
Mm-hmm.
And why are we losing the war in Iran, which was ridiculous? And that's all about military budget. And that military budget is really under pressure. People just don't want to see, I guess, success. I don't know what it is. What is it?
My theory, I'm no pacifist, but I'm sick and tired of us going to wars. And I do have my misgivings about the Iran situation, but I do know what Donald Trump's doing, and I'm generally supportive of his goals as it relates to Iran, because I think it's redrawing the whole power base worldwide away from these internationalist efforts to control economies, and it's going to radically and positively transform the Middle East when it comes to oil delivery and stuff like that. As we were talking about earlier, Saudi Arabia has pushed its Red Sea delivery of oil. You've got the UAE building pipelines down in the mouth of the Persian Gulf,
right,
that will bypass the Strait of Hormuz as well. There are a whole lot of other factors that are happening. A lot of the internationalist order is controlled by what's happening in Iran. Iran's not a big powerhouse, but they have been a very negative effect worldwide. So I'm generally for that. But when it comes to military budgets, I talk about this often. Tim Huelskamp and I, when I was working for him between 2010 and 14, there was a proposal to raise the military budget up to $600 billion. And I take this general stance that we need to have a badass military that we never use.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because he was a budget hawk, and I didn't highly disagree with him at all. He was just fuming about a $600 billion budget. We were in the $400 to $500 billion range back then. And now the proposal is $1.5 trillion. I think that's excessively high, in my opinion. And it's not good for our overall budget outlook. But keep in mind, that falls into the discretionary spending category. And discretionary spending is maybe 20% of the overall U.S. budget. Our big problem is the social welfare programs. And Donald Trump, though, is addressing that. It's not going to play out in his administration, but it will later on. When we have these Trump accounts for kids that they've rolled out. It's been highly successful in terms of the participation from private investors like Michael Dell. He keeps talking about Michael Dell putting in billions. There are others who are starting to put billions into that effort. I think that, and he's proposing now, and I think this is right, to allow people who are adults to have their own accounts when it comes to Social Security. Which, listen, Social Security is an unconstitutional program. It never should have started to begin with, just on a strict constitutional basis. The political realities are that that's not going away anytime soon.
No.
And if it's not, then it needs to stop being a transfer program, and it needs to start being a building program where people own their accounts. And eventually, Social Security isn't going to matter to the budget as much anyway if you can do that, because now people own and direct their accounts as opposed to waiting for the government to collect taxes and then push it over to them. That, if you're going to do that program at all, it has to be done on that basis. It was not founded on that basis. It was a social insurance program from the very beginning. A lot of people don't know that. Your Social Security money is not sitting there waiting for you to take it when you retire. You're taking money from current taxpayers.
Yeah, they
to
spent
get your Social Security check.
Yeah,
that needs to change.
It does, and I'm tired of hearing that Social Security is going to go broke. We're going to run out of money. Have you ever heard them talk about social programs running out of money, like welfare, like food stamps running out of? Never. You don't ever hear that. You hear they're going to run out of the money that we've given, but they don't.
Yeah, it's all transfer payments, and it's unconstitutional. There's no authorization in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution for Congress to do these kinds of programs. Now, the general welfare clause, where Congress in Article 1, Section 8 is authorized to pass laws to benefit the general welfare of the country, that clause, if you read it closely, specifically says that Congress can pass laws to promote the general welfare within the scope of what Article 1, Section 8 has. But we've got a lot of Supreme Court decisions that expand the definition of general welfare to allow these things. Every one of these programs are transfer payments. That now, they never talk about welfare checks, the welfare programs going bankrupt, because they're not formal programs. The ones they do talk about in terms of the presumption that money is going into a fund to manage these things. Where that is in the law is Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And those programs are going broke. And we've talked about it for a couple dozen years, and they haven't actually gone bankrupt. But the reason they haven't gone bankrupt is the taxes keep going up, and the spending keeps going up. And those programs have been expanded in various ways. And now we know that there are trillions of dollars of fraud related to these as well, which is just making the issue worse. When it comes to Medicaid in particular, the states should be doing anything that Medicaid does. We should be getting rid of that program entirely and telling the states, if you have people with problems with healthcare, you should be picking up the tab, and we're not going to pad your budget, as has been a major thing that we've done since the Obama administration, which was the first administration to do major bailouts of state funding problems. That needs to go away as well. States need to figure out how to do these things themselves. Medicare and Social Security are much more difficult to deal with, but I think you can reform both of those programs to become financially viable in and of themselves, if you have a mind to do that. But politicians are scared to do anything like that because they think they're going to offend too many people. And this is why the Trump accounts thing actually is a really good idea, because it's a way to show the American people that these programs were set up for failure from the beginning. I mean, when Social Security came out, the life expectancy of Americans was below 70.
Right.
And so the percent of the population that were undertaking it at the time was very low, and it could sustain itself financially.
And we had a much higher birth rate. Yeah, it was a pyramid. It was a pyramid scheme from the beginning.
Well,
and now the bottom
Ponzi
of the
scheme.
Yeah.
It's not a pyramid scheme. It's a Ponzi.
Ponzi.
There's a difference between those two.
And they kept adding to it. They kept adding. A lot of money here.
Well, and we had a surplus in the Social Security fund for decades after it came into existence. And then in the 1970s and 80s, we started borrowing against that fund. It was, I think if I remember the number correctly, we had $2.5 trillion excess money in the Social Security program in the 1970s and 80s.
Yeah.
And then the Democrats started borrowing against it for their other priorities. And so technically there still is a surplus, but there's money owed by the government to itself in those programs. And that's something that needs to be fixed as well.
Yep.
It's a hard one to fix because it costs a lot of money to get it back in line. But that's why doing accounts that you own could be a transition to that. My plan was always, and I didn't have my numbers entirely figured out, but my general theory on that was find a time specific, some birth date that you choose where everyone paying into Social Security from that age backwards gets to have their Social Security fund be something they own. And my recommendation has always been let them participate in the same thrift savings plan program that federal employees have access to. I did. There are 5 funds in the thrift savings plan of various degrees of risk that people can choose. And then let every American of wherever you draw that line, let every American backwards from that line from birth be able to control that fund however they want and let it grow however they want to, just like a 401k program. And then you would transition to a sustainable effort. It sounds like Trump wants to go further than that and maybe transition it for anyone to choose that if they want to. And I got to tell you, I would in a minute.
It would make sense. I haven't heard him talk much about healthcare other than his prescription program, which is not a big deal yet,
right.
but healthcare, and he was high on it in his first term. He failed. I guess John McCain stopped him from getting rid of Obamacare. Is there plans on healthcare, or are we just going to let that keep escalating to where it's unaffordable?
There are no plans. I've got a couple friends of mine from Minnesota who had been able to try to work some legislative stuff up there, who I talked to, who've done a lot of research on it. And in the first Trump administration, I was doing consulting and a few other things. And I would get them meetings in the Trump administration and in Congress to try to propose a plan. Greg Totillo is his name, and he wrote a book called The Golden Age of Healthcare recently. And we were just on Capitol Hill last year talking to people about this. I think there needs to be a plan, and it's not there. Greg's general plan, and I'll send you guys the book maybe so you can read it. I think it's a good construct. But he was just talking about the fact, exposing the fact, and he had a very large insurance firm that did group plans for healthcare and started looking at all the inconsistencies and said, we need to come up with something different. And his basic thing is to say that, listen, the price cues are not exposed to users of healthcare.
Right.
So what he wanted to do, and this is one of the big issues, is price transparency. And what he wanted to do is expose what both hospitals and insurance companies do already. They pay for services as a percent of the Medicare cost. So Medicare equals 100. And then some places will charge 200% of Medicare or 350% of Medicare, or whatever that number is. Expose that number to people so that they can learn to, price shop for their health services. Also, you really do need to expand health savings accounts to be able to allow people to put in on a tax-free basis into their health needs. with a catastrophic plan, obviously, and then a fund that you deposit into and use as you need it. I mean, one of the big problems is price transparency.
Yes.
Right, it is.
Obamacare is the biggest problem, by the way, because it really skews everything.
Yeah.
But if you can get into a price transparency thing, and that would play a major role in reforming what healthcare does in this day and age. It's a huge problem. But no, Republicans have no plan, and they're scared to deal with Obamacare. And if it weren't for John McCain, we'd have gotten rid of Obamacare, or at least a major portion of it. Paul Ryan screwed that up by not entirely repealing and replacing, as Donald Trump was calling for in the first term. That we do need to repeal and replace Obamacare. In fact, if we just went back to the system as it existed before Obamacare,
that, yeah.
which had messiness, it would be much better. I remember when I was working for Tim Huelskamp, I remember I was sitting with a friend of mine who used to be a former NRA lobbyist. We were at a restaurant called Bull Feathers, just right near the Capitol there. We were just talking about all this. There were a couple young staffers sitting near us who overheard what we were saying. It ended up being Democrat staffers, young people in their 20s, didn't have families. And they started asking us questions when they heard about it. And they just said, well, we just want to understand what you're thinking here.
Huh.
And at that time, again, this is 2013 maybe. I said, well, let me just describe to you, and I had 2 boys and a wife that were in my family at the time. I said, for a family of 4, prior to Obamacare, I said, I was paying about $350 a month for family health care.
Wow.
And our annual deductible was about $1,500. And I said, now, at that time, I was paying well over $500 a month, and my deductible was in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. I can't remember precisely what it was.
Right.
And when I told them that, their jaws dropped. They had no idea. And the 3 of us have all experienced this from back then. It was a radical change in what healthcare provided and the options that we had. Now, again, it was a messy system. It wasn't the best system. But boy, if we could revert back to that and then get further reforms, frankly, I think healthcare should be entirely in the free market. I don't think the federal government should be regulating healthcare in any form or fashion. That should be done at the state level.
It would change things. Jim, I'm running out of time. I appreciate all the time and help and insight and all that. And it's Jim with the Conservative Caucus. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks. By the way, theconservativecaucus.com if anyone's interested.
Theconservative.com. The Conservative Caucus. Got it. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye. And with that, we're going to take a break, Chris. We'll be right back.
Russ K. Daniel. Russ K. Daniel. Russ K. Daniel.
I am back. Daniel, you're on the phone. How'd you get on the phone so quick?
I don't know. I guess I'm just lucky, I guess.
What's up, there, sir?
Hey, I just found out that Mr. Biggs is really doing well in the primary thing.
Well, he won it.
Well, yeah, he won the primary with big numbers, and that's kind of huge. I mean, it shows support that's just great.
Yeah,
great support. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope this gives Miss Hobbs her walking papers.
I hope so too, buddy. I do. I think we're in so much better shape with Biggs running things and getting things done in the state of Arizona versus Miss Vito.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we really don't need these Democrats coming into our state, which was red, now it's purple, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening is the majority of them are coming from California when they're bugging out from there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Even their Republicans are a little more liberal than we like. So.
Well, yeah, and I'd like to know which ones those are. Because
yeah, with strong conservative leadership with Andy Biggs or something, it'll gel a little better amongst the Republican parties and give more direction.
Yeah.
I think it's pivotal and important that we get that back.
Hey, Russ.
Yeah,
Russ. Hey, you'll never guess who I ran into yesterday afternoon.
I have no idea.
Gilberto.
Oh, Gilbert, good. He's out there a lot. It's easy to run into Gilbert. Go into a restaurant in the morning, you'll find him.
Yeah, well, yeah, but this was a restaurant later on in the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we and it had karaoke night.
Oh, he does that.
Yeah, so Gilbert and his wife they both sang. Yeah. So I put my line in the water and I sang. The Cowboys
sang?
song.
Oh wow. Okay.
I did sing.
I never had that courage, buddy. I'm not going to do that publicly. Barely in the shower.
Oh, well, yeah.
I do it in Walmart.
Walmart? You sing in Walmart?
I'm walking down the aisle singing a song.
That works for you.
All right, guys.
Thank you, bud. Bye-bye.
Have a good day, bud.
Great talk with Jim Pfaff, always.
I always want to talk longer.
It was an hour.
I mean, you could
straight with no commercial.
You could just have you could have a Jim Pfaff show.
I think we did.
Yeah, he's just so knowledgeable and.
Well, that's his job, and obviously he's worked for many different campaigns.
Yeah,
he understands Arizona real well, and he's now running the Conservative Caucus.com.
And he's not like in lockstep with other people. He has his own opinions.
Oh gosh,
and he can defend his opinions.
Yeah.
I really like that guy.
He supports Trump, but he'll tell you real quickly about the things he thinks he should do differently. Absolutely,
he's a great guy.
We talked a little bit about the AI, and Jim said that he's very much a supporter of the data centers and all that kind of stuff. And I talked about the Trump pledge. I never did tell you the states, though. It's only Republican states that have signed the pledge.
Right. Because everyone else hates Trump and Trump likes it. So
and what it is, it's a protection of the consumer, not for the data centers.
Exactly.
Protection of the consumer to make sure that the data centers that come in have their own power and stuff, and that and the major utility companies have signed on and all that it's not going to hurt. And I think they need to do that. The data centers need to do that because image.
Yeah.
And everything, and a lot of it, like Jim Pfaff says, is not true. That they're peddling.
All right.
But we have Alabama, Georgia, Iowa, Ohio, Texas, Tennessee, Utah, Louisiana, Nebraska, Idaho have signed on, as well as other, but no Democrat states. Why would you think the Democrats would not sign it?
Because they hate Trump.
That's it.
And
I
Trump
think that's it.
it.
Do you think they don't support the consumers?
I don't think they care. I don't think they research. As soon as they hear Trump likes something, they hate.
They're going to do against it.
Period. They don't need to research.
And this is even non-binding.
Yeah,
it's a non-binding. It's just a pledge.
Right.
That what they're going to do as far as making sure that they don't get any price hikes based on a data center, whether it's infrastructure or whatever it is. And I think it's a great move, even if it
agree.
has no
I
teeth. I mean, there's no fines or whatever. It's a pledge, but it'll definitely give people something to track and
Right.
look at and say, you're not living up to your pledge and all that. But many states
And that might be
push
why
away.
some of the Democrats didn't sign it, because then, when they failed, people would be able to hold it against them.
Yeah. Well, and you hate signing a pledge and then not
Right.
taking care of it. I missed a call from Clyde. I wasn't looking. Let me call him real quick. I hate doing that. Not paying attention. And we'll see if Clyde takes my call. He might be mad at me now for not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good morning.
Good morning, Clyde. Missed your call, man.
Oh, yeah, I did. I was listening to your gentleman there
Jim
that
Pfaff.
called you right now,
Yeah.
Jim or whatever, and talking about the, and I've been, since we had a conversation about the data center and the water and the power and all
Sure.
that, I'm glad to see that the gentleman talking to you did at least state the fact that, when power companies have to raise the structure to sell more power, obviously it does pass on to us. At least he confirmed that. But anyways, talking about these little portable nuclear things, I believe if that was the case here in Yuma, I believe that they wouldn't have had to have done a study to see if we have the water and the power, if they actually truly are looking into bringing their own power with them, which obviously they're not, because that would have been a step that would have been avoided.
We haven't had a contract yet for
Right.
Yuma to research. We're looking for someone
No.
to put in proposals.
No. You're missing the thing. Is they came in and they said they want to build it, and they were looking for the water source and the power source. And that's when they went to Yuma Mesa Irrigation District to ask them about water and what have you not. And that's when they told them that they could not give them the water they needed.
Okay, and that must
So
have
if
been
that data center was going to come into Yuma with their own power and their own and not need any water, then it would have been they would have had to gone through that study and go through all that. They would have put their feasibility in and whatever, and they would have said, "Hey, you know what? We're bringing our own power."
I don't know who that was. Obviously, of fact finding or whatever. And they would have been the wrong customer for us, the wrong data center.
Right.
I mean, you're right. We would need a data center to get a better
we
deal
got
from.
the same
Yeah.
thing going on across the river in the Cachan Reservation right now. Another company wanting to put a data center on the reservation out there, and the concern is the water and the power. IID supplies the power out there, obviously. So if these data centers, obviously, they must know about this portable nuclear generator.
Oh yeah, there's
Enough to say we want to come into your community. We want to build a data center. But hey, listen, don't worry about the power. Don't worry about the water. We're bringing that in on site. But they're not asking. They're not saying that. It's a big controversy.
Keep in mind, there's multiple companies.
Yeah.
Many companies are. In fact, I know there's 7 being built right now. The nuclear power generators are being built for data centers, and there's 20 more or so on the list to get them.
And it's negotiation. Nobody comes in saying, "I'm going to give you everything" without you asking for it. They come in with low ball, and you negotiate.
Or yeah.
Well, keep in mind, I don't care about the 100,000 data centers. I'm talking about the 2 different ones that want to come into our community. Why did they not say we're looking in, we want to come in, but we don't need your water, and we don't. I mean, that's the biggest controversy is water and power.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, and I don't know which company you're talking about. I didn't know there ever was a bid, but I'll look into it.
We're not talking about a bid. We're not talking about. We're talking in. They've come in and they are listening. They are soliciting putting this in there. And as you know, with anybody in Yuma, they do a pre-building conference, if you will, when you come in and say, "Hey, I'm looking at buying this parcel of property. This is what I this is what I want to put on there.
Yeah.
Do I meet the zoning?" I mean, that's common sense, Russ.
But
You
who
know
is it?
that.
Who is it that did that? I'm unfamiliar with the business that did that. I mean, I'll ask, but I've never heard that before.
Well, you know what? I'll do your homework for you. I'll get it for you. And then
That
let
would
you
be
know,
nice.
because
Okay.
I'm sure
Thank you, buddy.
Probably do know, but I'm not going to be like OG and give you homework because you never do it. So I'll do the homework for you.
Okay.
And one other thing that kind of has me going a little bit right now. was it, a year and a half ago, and the little Grijalva lady over there was running against Daniel Gutierrez,
Right.
and for whatever reason, our own local Republican Party couldn't get behind and get the door knockers out on time and whatever.
Wow.
Now it irritates me that we're past the primary, and we have the 9 so-called Republicans that we need to vote for, and Paul Gosart's on there, several other, Mark Lamb, all these different Republican, Andy Biggs, great, all on there. But why don't they put Daniel's picture on there? Are we like the bottom of the barrel or something?
Not that I know of.
It's on Facebook. I mean,
Okay.
really? I mean, we're going to get behind them. I don't know that conception that everybody has that Grijalvas can't be built or can't be beat, that we don't put money into it.
Okay.
I don't understand that concept. Help me.
I wish I could, but I don't know that Daniel was left off of anything. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's on Facebook.
Okay.
It's on Facebook,
Face-
the Republican conservative thing. So, I mean, it's just propaganda that's out there. Support these Republicans, but for whatever reason, we don't do the district that Grijalva's in or currently in. And I do believe Daniel is a great man. I do believe he can do a wonderful job
Sure.
for our state
Yeah.
and for our United States, not only just here in Arizona, but all
Mhm.
across the board.
I
But I
like
think
him.
we need to get behind him. Well, yeah, we like him, but I mean, we need to get behind him
Yeah.
so we can get him elected and get him in office.
Well, and I don't, was that Facebook post, from the Arizona Union Party?
Republican, Arizona, not the local, but the Arizona Republican Conservative something.
Yeah, I don't.
Beautiful thing. It was just lacking Daniel's picture. That's all.
Oh.
And I don't understand. But we got a lot of work to do. I say we, like I'm out there doing it, but I'll do my part. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get this gentleman elected to do something good for our state and for our United States. And I hope we can get behind him
Yeah.
financially. I mean, voting for him is very important as well, but get the vote out and get him out there so people will do and get more Democrats to realize, hey, you don't need to drink the Kool-Aid. Get out there and vote for Daniel.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All
but
right,
that's
buddy.
where I'm at. But I'll get you the homework I'll do the homework for you and get you the info on that so we can talk a little more.
That'd be nice.
Be more on the same page.
All right, man.
because-
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
Bye. Yeah, he's gonna do the homework for me.
That's always helpful.
Well, I've talked to the mayor about it, and he said, "Look, there's nobody that has come forward with a
Well, and
as a customer yet. They're just trying to open it up to have people come."
And from a business perspective, if you have a business and you want to open it up, you go for you look for where's the cheapest place I can go. So
The
don't-
best fit, cheapest
Yeah.
is part of it too. Let's take,
and so they might just be fishing. Well,
Could
who's
be.
going to let me come in without?
I just don't have knowledge of it. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning, Russ.
Well, good morning, sir.
I want to. How are you and Chris doing?
We're
doing
behaving.
Behaving. Yesterday on Rob Kennedy on Newsmax, there was a gentleman on there that we were sitting here watching him, and he was telling Rob about the data centers that he has built. He said he has built over half of them, and all the data centers that he has built are all self-contained.
Mm.
They bring their own power supply. They bring their own cooling. There is no water used in his plants whatsoever. That the concerns about using water is, they're using, it's like antifreeze, but it's something else.
There's a
He
gel,
mentioned it.
a new gel that they use. I don't know how long it's been out on the market, but there is one. Yeah.
Yeah. And he says this BS about the data centers using the water and the power, electricity, and all this other stuff.
Mhm.
He says, I haven't built one that has anything to do with the water in the area or the electricity from the residential or business, but all my data centers are self-contained.
I know there's a lot of them out there that do, and of course, data centers have been around for many years.
Right.
It's where the cloud goes. The pictures of your grandkids are in the cloud. Those are in data centers. It's just getting a
Well, he was even
lot bigger now.
Yep.
yeah. Well, he was even saying that he's gone in there. Some of those that are old
Yeah.
that were using water
Uh-huh.
and off the grid. He says he's gone in there and converted them
Oh,
where
good.
they don't use. They're all self-contained.
Good.
I'm gonna have to take a look at that. I didn't know how many out there are on the self-contained thing, but I know that technology exists, and that's a lot of the new ones going in are doing that. We'll
Yeah.
see.
But this guy's that's his business. That's all he does is data centers.
Wow, I'll have to take a look at that.
But you know, the thing about, you know, them using our water and all this other stuff,
Mhm.
and you know, these guys that are sitting there bitching about the data centers and stuff, they need to go do some research,
Yeah.
get on a channel where they have somebody. This was on Rob Finnerty yesterday on Newsmax
Uh-huh.
that this gentleman was talking about it. You're not going to hear anything good on our local stations.
Mhm.
You're not going to hear anything on Fox
Yeah.
because they're still a bunch of idiots. You need to get on a channel. Oh, they are. You got to go over there and listen to some of those things. We have to turn them off. We can't listen to them. They're so stupid. But
Right.
it's the truth.
I
But those guys over there on Newsmax, after, Carl Higbee, and from then on, from 6 o'clock on, Greg Kelly and them in there,
Uh-huh.
they get people in there that know what's going on, and not the typical run of the mill. Oh, we can't do this because of this. We can't do that because of this.
Yeah.
People that know, and they're not just fly by night people. They are people that have businesses built on this, and they're billionaires like Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know a lot. Elon's a trillionaire. But anyhow, they just
Not
they
today,
need to
not
do
he's-
some more research before they complain.
Yes.
Now, Elon Musk, and I just got this from my fact checker, Elon Musk has said that those communities that fight against data centers should be banned from the net. That's awesome.
I
That's
have
a-
to agree.
That's
But
bad.
anyhow, I thought I would give you that information. What I heard yesterday from the gentleman that builds them,
Yeah.
to, you know, they need to go do some more research or get on a channel where they can actually hear some involvement in making America great again.
Thank you,
Russ,
sir.
Chris, have yourself a great day.
You too,
Appreciate it,
bud.
sir.
Soon.
Take care, man.
Bye.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Edward said he agrees with Elon that they should be banned from the net.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I don't know if you've talked about it. It was a few days ago,
Yeah.
but the House passed legislation letting states choose to be on daylight savings
Yeah.
time, and it's going to the Senate.
Well, I thought they always could.
No, you can always choose to be daylight standard. That's what Arizona is. We're daylight standard. But daylight savings is where the
Clock flips.
Yeah, the clock flips, and you use the summer times year round.
So if we would have to change our times?
No, it would still be optional.
Always do. Okay.
But the problem is, you know, a lot of people point out that during the winter, you know, kids will be going to school. It'll be pitch black.
I don't care.
The circadian rhythm and
I
you
don't
know,
care.
and all that kind of stuff can be dealt with. My big concern is just the logistics. Right now, people complain, "Oh, Arizona, you guys are crazy. You have your different time." Can you imagine if the whole country could choose? I'm going to be switching back and forth, I'm going to be daylight standard or I'm going to be daylight savings, and you'd never know one way or the other.
That's why we need AI to figure that out.
Or just stay where we're at. Daylight standard. Everyone has had the opportunity to choose daylight standard. They haven't. So it's settled. It's a done conversation. The only reason anyone wants to go to daylight savings year round is because they think people are going to spend more money if they're able to have more sunlight in the evening.
I think it should be fixed. I hate the changing, but
Yeah.
excuse
Well,
me.
fixed daylight standard.
Let's take a phone call from Gilbert. Good morning, Gilbert.
Hey, Gilbert.
Hey, I listened to your show.
Yeah.
It was quite interesting, long-winded, but I did not hear him. Maybe because I went to the bathroom, went to get a cup of coffee.
You missed the best
But I
part.
didn't hear him. I did probably. I didn't hear him talking about Buteras and beating Grijalva. I didn't hear him say that.
Jim Pfaff?
So
No. He's talking
Yes.
about Clyde or
Oh,
Pfaff didn't
no,
talk about it.
no. I'm talking about your gentleman you had on the radio, Mr. Jim.
Yeah.
Mr.
Oh,
Jim?
Jim Pfaff from
Yeah.
the Conservative Caucus. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't bring up
Right.
Gutierrez during.
Right. No. He should have. Because
Okay.
he's intent. You're talking about Biggs and all that, and how
Yeah.
Arizona, it's important for Arizona. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And again, they left out Mr. Gutierrez, and
Yeah.
that's the one we have to win. We need to get
That would be-
Grijalva.
Yeah, that would
We
be
do.
a huge win.
Next. And it just irritates the blankety blank out of me that he didn't bring it up. And the fact that during the interview, the reporter would say something about a Christian nation, and she turns around and says, "We are not a Christian nation. We're not a Christian nation." She said that 3 or 4 times.
Oh, Grijalva. Yeah.
Yeah. As
Yeah.
she walked away from an interview, she was trying to, this lady was trying to interview her, and she's being a Grijalva.
Wow.
And the fact that she said we're not a Christian nation. Now that should open everybody's ears up, even Mr. Jim. He should have had that already.
Well,
and
Jim-
be talking about
Yeah,
it.
Jim doesn't live in
I know.
Arizona.
I
you
know
know,
that.
he's
but he
a
brought up a
DC
lot
guy. I
of
don't know that
stuff.
he follows every single thing. He does follow the
Well,
government.
and we were talking about a lot of stuff going from one topic to another, but
Yeah, but what I'm
yeah.
getting at, we can't sidestep this anyway.
no,
Eating Grijalva is one of the most important things we can do
Wow.
right now.
well, and
I mean, there's no,
yeah, and Pfaff brought up the idea that electing the Democrat governors years ago kind of set the stage for the Democrats to take some power, and if we can get a Republican governor in, that will help shift us more red. And I do see that could happen in Gutierrez's district. What is it, 7? Yeah, District 7. If we can
District
get
7, right.
if we can get a
Uh,
Republican representative in that district, that can help shift the ideology towards the Republican Party, and we can hold on to it for a really long time.
But
Rather
wait a
than
minute,
trying to
wait a
fight
minute,
for it all
Brother
the time.
Chris.
What's that?
Brother Chris, let me think. I'm doing some thinking. Russ, help
Uh-oh.
me out.
We're
All
gonna
right.
be in trouble.
Did we have a governor named Ducey that was a Republican during Grijalva's reign?
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to step down on you, brother. I'm not at all.
It's not
Yeah, I'm
guaranteed, but
saying-
it's kind of
No,
shifts
but I'm
things,
just saying that we had. This is the time that we can do it with all the shenanigans that's
Right.
happening across America. Absolutely, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
Chris. You're absolutely right. So again, I feel Mr. Gutierrez is being sidelined. When this is one of the most important. This election in 7 is strong as getting Biggs in there as the governor.
You think
If we
so?
win both
Okay.
of them, I know so. I
Okay.
know so.
All right.
We have an extreme communist socialist as a congresswoman right now,
Right.
and with the rest of the Muslims, communist socialists that we have in America's politics in the Senate and the Congress, it is important, most important. And I believe those two campaigns, the governor and Grijalva, are one of the 2 important things in there right now.
if we can
'Cause
flip
if we
some
get-
seats, that would be great.
Yeah, if we can get the Attorney General out of there, Secretary of State, yes.
Yeah.
But between them and the governor and District 7, yeah, I think those are the 2 most important things that we have going for ourselves.
Yeah.
And to win, to beat Grijalva, that would be awesome.
Yes.
And that would be a feather in our cap. And that's how I feel about that.
All right, man.
All right, bye.
Can't argue
Right.
with you on that.
Well, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
Um,
There's strategists out there that will say, well, we're not likely to win that, so let's put our resources
Well,
where,
like
but
like
that
anything that anybody does, the people are going to look at it and the whole state,
Yeah.
and say what's our most urgent issues,
right.
and triage,
Yeah.
and
But
that's
I really do think if we can get a good solid Republican in that district, it could have an impact on the future of that district.
It's
And
it's
so
heavily
worth
Democrat
considering. Yeah.
registered. That's a tough deal. It's not saying it can't be done. Tough deal. Let's take a call from Mike. Good morning.
Hey, Russ. Listen, I have to laugh at Gilligan there. The only reason why, and let's never forget, the Republican Party is responsible for that communist socialist being in there because it didn't help the Republican guy who was running against him because you said it wasn't worth this money because there were too many Democrats.
Yeah.
I'm never going to let you people forget that.
I don't care. I don't care. It's fair. It's fair. And I'll repeat it that when the state party looks at these things and they look at where to best use the money they have, which is a limited resource.
I don't care.
Yeah,
you laid down and you left.
Well, I mean, I don't care that you bring it up. You can bring it up as much as you want. But
I did the same thing in New York City.
I'll tell you the reality that they're looking at, and they make those decisions on, is where's the money best used, and that's somebody's got to make that decision.
Then don't cry about this communist in 7th District. Don't cry at all. Don't you dare.
I won't cry.
Because it was Republican. I'm talking about Gilligan. It's the Republican Party is solely responsible for this socialist movement in this country because there's no pushback. None.
Well, I think Gilbert was backing you up on that. He wants more.
Yeah, he wants more.
Yeah.
He wants more attention.
I don't think Gilbert was for assisting that guy.
Yeah.
No, he's for assisting.
Yeah.
He wants to help Gutierrez.
He's absolutely behind.
He thinks we need to get rid of Grijalva, which
Well,
I don't know any Republican that would disagree with that. There isn't one that would disagree with that.
No Republican can have a say because the Republican Party is the reason why Grijalva was there.
Oh, it is. Okay.
You laid down and let them step over us. You opened the door for socialism into the state.
Okay.
You opened the door for socialism in New York City.
All right. If that's your viewpoint.
Thank you, Republican Party.
All right.
The Republican Party is responsible for their do nothingness and their refuse to do. The 7th District, they refused to help that man. So no Republican can cry the blues.
I know that's not completely true. There has been a lot of help, but not to the point that they've helped others. I mean, there's been other districts that they've poured a lot of money into, and they did not pour a lot of money into.
And another thing, Katie Hobbs is illegitimately elected. Katie Hobbs is there for only one reason.
What's that?
Voter fraud.
I think there's a case to be made for that. I do.
It wasn't she the Secretary of State before?
She was the Secretary of State.
Yeah. So she was in charge of the elections. That she won.
Yeah. Amazing.
And they had asked her, will you recuse yourself from the counting or whatever? And she's, well, we'll decide that when it happens. And she did.
What was the big thing that the Democrats had against Trump? He had been indicted 157 times. I hope Biggs brings that up, that this woman is indicted. She shouldn't even be allowed to run for governor.
Yeah.
Wow. So, your Republican Party, you people, you slap yourselves on the back. Don't even comment about socialism in this state because you're the reason why it occurred. And that's all I have.
Thank you, buddy. Take care, man. Bye-bye. I think there's been a lot of comments about socialism in the States. We don't like it. Here's what District 7 is right now.
What's the percentage?
There's, in Democrats registration, 6,918.
Okay.
Republican registration, 3,742.
Wow.
And I tell you, when they gerrymandered these things, some are heavy Republican, some are heavy Democrat. Everyone's heavy Democrat. So it is a tough nut.
Well, and that's part of the gerrymandering strategy.
It is
to put all the Democrats and all your rotten eggs in one basket.
In some
so they
cases,
get one
rotten
district,
eggs.
and then
some will say that the rotten eggs are the Republican sides, but some of them, there's some heavy Republicans, heavy Democrats, and there's some that are anybody's guess.
Yeah, and so the strategist will put the
and-
money into the
And what the Republican
ones.
parties will look at, and I'm not involved in it, but the state will look at that where our races are, our tight races are, and where that limited resource goes. And a lot of times it'll go to those close ones that they think they have a better chance of winning.
So to fix it, we get more resources. We get more people
Or
involved.
or we gerrymander it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be some districts that are going to be when you win the primary, you win because there's no
right.
Which is a general rule. It doesn't mean it has to be. It means it can be one. I mean, there's times there's a surprise. You can have a weak candidate or just a very strong candidate, whatever it is, that could do it. But this one is a tough one to overcome.
Yes,
it is, with not quite half.
It would be great.
Half as many Republicans as Democrats, and say, "Well, we just need to put more money, and it'll take care of it." Money doesn't fix everything, but it needs to be looked at, and they do. And we're going to support Daniel for sure. But
absolutely.
Now, how much? That's up to the parties that are doling out the money.
Yep.
I got to tell you, I'm done. It's 9 o'clock. In fact, it's after. It's Mike's fault that we went late. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for coming in, Chris.
Yep.